Okay. It begins. Let's get my notepad out. Let's pull up some old stuff. Right here. Save as. Call it what is it, 136 I think we're on. I mean, I'm sure that number is even bigger than that, but we're going to just call it 136. Okay. We'll put it right here. Let's go on YouTube. Okay, that's working. Watch stream here. Hot takes list here. Like my work. Consider donating here. Okay. Sorry, I'm just writing down my stuff. Oh boy. Well. Good evening, everybody. Good evening. Welcome to the Sensible Argument. I have just started a game of Super Metroid, and we're gonna play through some Super Metroid because we were playing Chrono Trigger, but I have unfortunately finished that game. And that's the problem, right? That's the problem with Chrono Trigger, is that it ends. And so I have to play, we're going to play a different game. We're going to play Metroid, right? Now, I'm probably not as familiar with Metroid as I am with Chrono Trigger. But, I mean, I'm sure I'll do just fine. I mean, I may have some moments where, like, I'm stuck on a boss because I'm debating somebody too hard. Like, I don't know. But I think I got this. Let's see. Controls. See, I got my controller here. Alright, so we got that. Alright. And then, alright, jump is not that. Jump is this. Okay, jump is that. And shoot is that. Man, that's weird. Isn't that weird? Man, games were old back then, man. I mean, apparently shoot is here. And the jump is here. I mean, I guess it works because, like, I can just kind of... Oh, actually, maybe that doesn't work. Or maybe if I just, like, smush... Yeah, that's good enough. Oh, okay, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, sure. Why not? Okay. All right. Well. I hope everybody's having a good day. If you're tuning in early, this is going to be the Sensible Argument. In roughly another 15 minutes, we're going to get started. Honestly, I've been following like a bit of news. Like I heard like Matt Gaetz, he's stepping down. And I think the reason's kind of funny. Well, it's not funny in the sense that like what they did, but it's funny in the sense the way that they're dealing with it. It's like this person's like an actual monster. Let's see. Okay, I do not have ball. Do I not have ball? I don't have ball. There is no ball. I could have sworn I had ball. Did I really not have ball? I could have sworn I had ball. I swear I had ball. Well, we're going to get it now. This is not where ball is. This is where you need ball. Do I have missiles? No. Okay, so you know what? I had a save. I remember. I had a save game position. Yep, there you go. That's and here I have ball. And I have missile. See? I remembered. I remembered. All right, so I got ball there. And then I need to take ball back. All right. I have missiles, so I can keep going that direction. What is it? Is it select? And then, yeah, there you go. 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so it takes 5 missiles to open one door. And I am now out of missiles. And now I have 10 missiles. This is going to be fun. This is a good game. Oh boy. These old games really just make me very happy. They do. They really do. I think I'm supposed to go up so I can use ball. We're gonna use ball. It's crazy because I got OG controls, right? Like I have this controller. This is an this controller is is the original SNES controller that I had as a kid. These things are indestructible. It hasn't. It's as old as I am. Right? I'm 35. It just keeps going. It's made of Nintendium. It doesn't degrade. Oh, got hit. At least I got some energy out of that. All right. I'm pretty sure, like, Samus in this game gets so strong, and it's really satisfying. The other thing that a lot of people get thrown off by is how janky the arc is. Like, for whatever reason, I don't know, for whatever reason, people just think that the arc would be more, I get, like, less vertical, more horizontal. And I mean, when I first started playing this game, like, and I was used to, say, like, Metroid Fusion on the Game Boy, it was like, I'm not used to this. I don't know if I can handle this. You know, I was like, it's a little too janky. But try to sit through it, right? Because the design of that arc is specific for the world that you're inhabiting, and so it's very good, actually. Let's see here. If you're joining in early, welcome. How y'all doing? I hope to hear from you. Hopefully we're going to have some good debates today. I hope we're going to have good debates today. I find that most of the debates that I end up having, like, people just don't read. Like, that's one thing that I found out about people, is that they don't actually, like, engage with things like to like a significant level. They mostly just react. Does that make sense? Like, there's people, and I didn't even know this was a thing until I started, like, posting on my YouTube channel, is people just respond without having watched the video. That to me is like, why are you doing that? Like, you haven't even watched the video and you're already, like, they're responding to the title, right? To the thumbnail. They don't actually understand your point, right? They would prefer to not watch your video, but they'll be glad to comment on it, right? Glad to comment on it. I'm like, that is so bizarre to me. I'm like, you literally know nothing. You're just talking to talk. Like, I don't know what it is. It's so weird. And I've never experienced that until I owned a YouTube channel and I started looking at metrics, that it was just like, wait, people do this? Like, I've seen YouTube videos say, oh, wait, don't comment until you like watch the whole video. I just assumed that most people don't do that. No, it's the other way around. Most people do that. Like, what? Who does that? Like, why? Me personally, I don't do that. Right? I try to, like, if I'm gonna comment on something, that at least I've absorbed what has been said. At minimum, right? That's minimum, right? Better yet is like you actually know about the topic, right? And then, you know, you've actually read independent sources on the particular topic and you're contributing in that way, right? I'm not saying you got to have a doctorate or whatever, but like having a little bit of recursory knowledge is really important, I think. So I don't know. There's just like a lot of situations where I feel like people just, I don't know, they like argue to like get a dunk as opposed to like be interested in like what's correct. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. So it looks like we got here. Where am I going in this game? That, you know, that is the classic. That's the classic tale of all Metroid games is, where am I going? Where am I going? All right. Well, I'm gonna go this direction, I suppose. We can ball over there. We could do ball. Oh my god. All right. I got hit. Oh, but I got plenty of health. Got 95. We're good. Okay. That requires the bombas. We're going to need the bombs. Huh. These fly things are annoying. Lots of health though, so that's good. So, okay, get this, right? In this game, right, in the original Metroid, not this one, but the original Metroid, there's a part where you have to fight a boss named Kraid. And in that fight, it's so interesting where they, at the beginning, show you a Kraid fight that is like, basically looks exactly like what it looked like on the NES in terms of the size, but it had like a nice, you know, graphical enhancement, right? And when you were like playing this on the Super Nintendo, you know, you were like, oh, well, you know, that was it. Okay. All right. You just kind of accepted and moved on. Uh-oh. 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 Hold on. Hold on. Oh boy. Hey. Oh boy. Oh boy. All right. Anyway, so apparently you're fighting a guy where it's like a Kraid boss, but it's like about as big as what you saw in the NES. And it's so funny to see this because you just kind of assume, oh, that was kind of cool, right? And then that was it, right? You didn't really like, you were not impressed by it. Well, in the later on, it basically gives you the actual Kraid boss, which is like monumentally bigger than the one you had just fought, and it's really neat. It's a really neat. It was just like, look, check out this. This is next gen, bro. Right? And it was like super neat to see, you know, the next gen game like that. All right, it's dead. Okay. See, I did that while talking. See, we could do this debate. We could do this debate stuff. We got about 5 minutes and then we're going to start the stage. Or is it? No, it's 4 minutes. We're going to start the stage. Anyway, it looks like we got bombs. So I should be able to... yeah, there we go. Yeah. And you can like time it. Yeah, like that. That's pretty cool. All right. Sorry. Kill that. Kill those. I mean, is there really any point to killing these? I mean, if you think about it, it's not like you get XP or whatever. You may as well just walk past it. I mean, I have the health. I got 99 energy. Corgasm says, where's the buddy from last week? I want to hear him debate you again on the papers. Oh, man, that would actually be crazy if he actually came up, because I have not refreshed myself on those papers. I'll be honest with you. I would have to spend the time and refresh myself. But that would be cool, right? If he actually sat down and read the papers. Well, if he read the papers, he should, right? He should come to the conclusion that I did. At least he should. That's in theory anyway. But how much you want to bet he doesn't show up? How much you want to bet? That's very common. Let's see here. So we got... All right, so we just got the bombas. And I think... You know what? It looks like I see a power-up right there. That would be perfect for the bombas. Corgasm says, it would be a great conversation regardless. I completely agree. I completely agree. I like spending the time to actually learn about something. Maybe he picked up something that I didn't, you know? And that's what's kind of cool about debate. It provided someone is taking it in good faith and they're just like taking in, you know, information and then going off, right? Like you're going to find very seldom that I'm ever going to like look at scientific papers and cast doubt. There's like very specific sectors where I start to cast doubt. One of them is like anytime I see like a think tank that they have a vested interest in making sure that like whatever that is like a positive effect. I call it like the cigarette the cigarette studies, right? Where they're like, it doesn't cause cancer, it's fine. You know, it's other factors, right? And it was literally funded by like cigarette companies. So that would be an example. Anyway, so it's about 6:29, so we're gonna go ahead and start the stage. Give me 1 second. We're gonna start it. Start, and we're gonna let everybody know. Starting. Okay, and then I believe what I have to do is I need to close out of Discord, because it always does this. Because there's like some weird permissions issue that I do not understand. All right, we're going to bring him in. Bring him in. Reconnecting. Reconnecting. Speaking on stage. Hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the stage. Welcome to the audience. Welcome, people. How are y'all doing? I'm already streaming. I'll go ahead and stream the game. Should I do the game? Or should I just... I'll you know what? Maybe just stream this, right? Like the output. Or wait, is that, no, that's, I'm sorry. That's not it. That's not the right thing. Let's take a look here. We're going to share it over. Should we just do
Hello.
How you doing? What's going on, Daniel?
Oh, good. All good. I was debating Graham Hancock.
Graham who?
Hancock. It's the ancient aliens guy.
Oh.
It's like a pseudo...
You could stop right there. You could stop
Yeah.
right there. I'm definitely not going to address that.
I feel you.
Like, why would I
what's
even
that game?
entertain that guy? What is this game? Have you seen it?
What game are you? Oh, it's Metroid.
Yeah, it's great. Do you like Metroid? Are you a
Yeah,
Metroid
yeah.
fan? What Metroids have you played?
Dude, I don't remember what Metroid I played because I'm not like a huge fan of Metroid, to
Mhm.
be honest. It's like I played like a very old one. Might have been even the first one because it was pretty fucking
Like,
hard.
are you talking about? I mean, like that
I
was
think
would
like
be on the regular Nintendo, the original
yeah,
Metroid.
yeah. On like the GameCube, whatever the fuck.
That's Metroid Prime, much newer.
Oh yeah, I think that's one. I don't remember. I don't remember. No, it wasn't. It was an older one. I think it was the Nintendo. Yeah, not the GameCube because GameCube was. I think it's just the first one because it was like very pixelated.
Oh,
Very
okay. Well, not
pixelated.
not the GameCube then, because it's not
No, not the GameCube.
GameCube's not pixelated. Look at
Yeah,
the original Metroid, and it would be able to tell you. So
yeah. That's what I'm trying to do right
so
now.
somebody in the audience, they had pointed out, right, on the YouTube chat, they had pointed out that there was a guy last week who said that they were going to review the neurobiological basis of trans people, right?
Oh,
Right,
did you do it?
Yeah, well, here's the thing, right? He said I have to spend the time to read your articles. I don't, I can't take it at face value. I'm going to read it, right? And he said that he would come back to me next week, right?
Who
Well,
was it?
I'm trying to remember his
Was it
name.
Neon? Because I think it's Neon.
Was it Neon?
I don't know, but
I don't
might
think
have
it
been.
was Neon. I think it was like just a random person that we haven't met before. And they said that I was just like, here's the basis, this shows like at a biological level the existence of trans people, and here you go. Here's the studies, right? There's a neurochemical basis behind it. And he was just like, well, I don't know. I can't, I don't believe you. I gotta go over the studies. I'll read it to you. And I'm just like, why don't we just like look at the abstract? And he's like, no. I got to go over the studies. So, all right. I'm gonna have two probabilities here, right? Probability number one is they don't show up.
Yeah.
That's the
I think
higher
it's,
probability. That's the higher probability.
Yeah.
They just don't show up. They completely forgot about that they were going to review it, and then that's that. The other option is that they did read it, but they're going to nitpick a very specific thing to extrapolate that they're just that trans people aren't valid somehow. The question is will they do that? Will they pull that off, right? Like, what argument could they possibly present? I would be astonished.
Well, I mean, it's always easy to kind of misrepresent data, and
Oh,
yeah,
yes, very easy.
you can look at the CAS report, for example, because
Why
a lot
don't you
of
tell me about that?
transphobes are using. So this was like a report from the UK. Was like a governmental report, whatever. And the thing with the CAS report is that it says like so it's not really investigating properly a lot of the ways trans people should be helped, and even so, right, it's pretty transphobe because the author is like, it's a known transphobe, right?
Oh.
Like even the word trans people is not really present like in the report as you would assume, being a report about trans people.
So wait, so you're saying that they are in fact they're basically just what I don't understand is like, how do you exactly get transphobia into like science? Like, that doesn't really make sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, because the
do you
report
pull
is
that off?
mostly, as far as I remember, because it's been a while since I read it and about it, right, from like other experts and stuff. It's been up for a while already. The thing with that report is that even being coming from a transphobe and being trying to kind of invalidate the existence of trans people, it still gets to like points where they're saying it's like, yeah, actually, yeah, we should be treating them according to kind of like the scientific,
Yeah, no, for sure.
and the
For
known
sure.
scientific. So it's like, and people are using that one to kind of be transphobic, and I was like, wait, it's like, did you read the results of the report, and it's like what they're advising to do? It's like they're literally like advising for more um for more psychological support for people that undergo like trans surgeries, for example. And
Like,
it's like, it's
and mind
weird,
you,
right?
right? Like a lot of people think that like I don't know, for whatever reason people just think that like it goes immediately to the drugs, right? They're just like, oh, it's the, it's, but like, no, you go through some psychological evaluations before they consider putting you on drugs. Like, are you kidding? Like, why would they not do that?
I mean, it's even saying that in the report. It's like one of the conclusion is that it's like, it's the fact that even after surgery and that you still need to go to see a psychologist to do these things that needed to be done even before you're going into surgery, right? So it's like you need to be like post surgery care too, and a lot more than is actually currently available, which is weird. But because also it's like the report is also misrepresenting like a lot of data, right? Like obviously like all these type of things do. Like also there's like the emphasis is kind of too big on the risks. Okay, so imagine it's like you're having a report and you're trying to say you're trying to gauge whether or not having like HRT is good, right? And it's helpful. And you're looking at the data, and the data says, well, it's like we have 100 people that underwent this, and 85% of them actually were helped by HRT, right?
Yeah.
And you're gonna say, well, 85% were helped, but 15%, that's really big. And let's just talk about this 15%, okay, of people that are actually not necessarily that they had like an adverse reaction, but it wasn't necessarily helpful, right? So it's not even that, right? It's a weird way of looking at. It's a weird approach when it comes to how we should help people, right? Because they would never do this type of things when it comes to heart surgery, when it comes to a lot of other things that have to do with healthcare, right? But whenever it comes to trans people, it's easily super fun for them to do it.
But Daniel,
right? It's so easy. It comes so natural for them to do it.
I thought it was just always penis, man, woman, vagina. Like, I don't under.
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand either. It is what it is, I guess.
It's so annoying, like having to have that discussion with people. Like, it's just, I don't know, like people aren't good faith about it at all, right? I've probably repeated it about 100 times, right? The same thing, just over and over. Like, yeah, gender is different from sex, and then I bring up like how that's even possible, right? I even use like examples on examples on examples to show how that's even possible. And I don't know what it is, man. People just don't like trans people. They just don't like them for one reason or another. I don't know what it is. Very bizarre to me, because it's like what I look for is like, because I live in the United States, I like my rights being preserved, right? As opposed to like being destroyed. And when I look at like people in general, I think people do better if they have their rights preserved as opposed to not. And so if they are basically free to do as they see fit and be a productive member of society, well, guess what? That helps me. There you go. That's a selfish motivation to helping other people.
Yeah. Also, like Orca is saying that people just disagree. And it's like, yeah, I mean, I agree with the state, right? People do disagree. I don't have the
chat up.
And I disagree with a lot of things too, but I feel like there's a limit when it comes to people's rights. Just because I disagree with some things, I think it's way better always for society. And I think this is actually a demonstrable point, that it's a lot better to actually provide the freedoms to people than to just take the freedoms away just because you disagree with them.
No,
and it's also like a moral panic. And I'll be honest, like right now I'm kind of working on like 2 video essays, and one of them is about this type of like moral panic and how they kind of form. And it's always like you need to find like a class that needs protecting, right? And that's why like when it comes to trans people, you see a lot of people, oh, but what about the kids? Think of the children.
I mean, why do you need a class? Well, specifically, I mean, what if there's trans children? I mean, yeah, I'm definitely thinking of the children. Like, what? It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, I know, but it's like they're saying that these children are actually indoctrinated into being trans. So obviously they need protecting by somebody else, right? So yeah, of course, it's like you can't believe what the kids tell you, right? When the kids tell you that they feel differently than you felt when you were their age, they must be wrong, right? Just because they're kids, and obviously they need protecting at that point, which is weird, but it is what it is, and this is how moral panics actually kind of form. You need somebody to vilify, and in this case is trans people, and you need somebody to protect, and in this case is children or women's sport, right? Another thing they really don't
like they
actually
don't care
about.
they don't care about women's sports. Like I've never heard a single cis man sit there and say, "Oh, I love women's sports." Like literally never. It doesn't exist, right? And they're concerned about like people like Leah Thomas, where it's like they join in, and you're talking about she came in, I believe. She came in like first in one race, and then, she did not come in first in like any other race. It was just like the one race. And then she was subsequently kicked off because she was biologically a man. And what's crazy is like, if you look at her record among women, she was 36th in the world. I'm just like, I pulled that up.
US.
I pulled up that she was 30.
World.
No, it was 30. I believe it was 36th total, like in terms of like swimming capability in the world under certain areas. And it's like, hold on, we're concerned about the person people can't even remember second place, let alone 36th place. So what is it about them that you just like seem to really hate? And I have one answer. It's only one answer. I don't have any other answer. How else do I do I reconcile that? It looks like we do have ourselves our first guest who would like to speak. We're going to bring in Shell Shock. Give me one quick second. I'm going to write this down. All right. I'm inviting Shell Shock to speak. Shell Shock, you're being invited to speak.
Ooh.
How you doing, Shell Shock?
Yo, what is up? I am back for round 2.
Round 2, huh? Okay.
Yeah.
Were you the one who was going to read the studies? I'm trying to remember.
Yeah.
Ah,
But I don't really want to talk about trans people, if that's okay. Or is that what you want to talk about?
No, that's fair. You can talk about whatever you want. What do you want to talk about?
Do you have any conservative opinions at all?
I'm a capitalist.
No way.
Yep, I'm a capitalist.
Really?
Sure am.
Wow.
Sure
I was
I have a
expecting
long,
that.
giant paper on why I think capitalism works better than socialism.
I think Daniel disagrees with you.
He does. But we can have polite disagreements and talk about the thing. I would prefer capitalism with social safety nets. That's what I prefer.
Yeah, gotcha. Is there anything you want to argue about besides trans people?
No. I mean, I could argue about anything. You just asked for a specific right-wing belief. You'd be surprised. A lot of I used to be a libertarian, and I also used to be a Republican. Did you know that? I started my political learning as a Republican, and then shifted to a right-wing libertarian, and then from there I turned into a Democrat. What do you think?
Gotcha. That's interesting. That's always interesting to hear the shift in political spheres.
I called it initially, and I think everybody has one of these. I call it the ideology statue. And I think everybody has an ideology statue. If you're into politics in any way, you likely have one of these. And basically what it is you treat it as a form of your identity. It's really important to you for one reason or another. And you treat it as if it is your literal identity. And any blemish right, on the statue effectively is an attack on you. And so what you do is that you do everything in your power to protect the ideology statue. You'll do everything you can to be like, okay, I just want to protect whatever that statue is, right? Because it's who I am as a person. And I realized that my ideology statue was libertarianism, where like there were like small parts of it that, made less and less sense. One example was like, well, you kind of, you need to have a government because obviously a government, is necessary for contract law and basic rights and a military. And then I was like, well, you need instances where there's that there's like codes on buildings, right, that say, oh, you have to build building codes in this way. And it was like, and then traffic laws, I suppose. Those are also kind of necessary. You need to have those. And like, oh, you need to have like a big overarching government that is able to establish better trade relations with its neighbors, because if it doesn't do so, then it basically just does worse, like for everybody. And when you start to kind of like break it down, I was like, how am I different from just like a Democrat? I'm just like, I'm perfectly okay with the government coming in and stepping on me to like, to uphold like a certain level of comfort. Right.
Gotcha.
So are you, what are you?
I consider myself center left.
Okay.
For the
So,
most part.
Okay. So why don't you explain that to me? How does that, because center left that I hear is like, you seem to like some level of socialism.
No. So, in regards to economic principles, I don't really have an opinion on that.
Okay.
I just don't have enough information on economy to like talk about it.
Okay. Well, what do you want to talk
but-
about then?
So I sort of want to talk about the principal standard of universal healthcare and the can you shoot a burglar? That would be the two things I really want to talk about. And universal healthcare being the extension of that.
Can you shoot a burglar?
Yeah.
Okay, well, why don't you run me through it? Because I don't understand how those two are related.
Well, my opinion on universal healthcare is like this, right? I think that if you commit a morally neutral or a morally negative action, I don't think that universal healthcare should protect you. So if I am smoking and I get lung cancer, I would say that I shouldn't be held responsible. I would say that I should be held responsible for my own financial suffering. But if somebody hits me with their car and I need kidney transplant or lung transplant, I think it's fair for society to hold that burden.
Oh, okay. So, you said you're center left, right?
Yeah. More or
So,
less.
like, one thing that I've noticed a lot of Republicans do, and specifically right wingers, is that they have this thing. I call it the cocaine of Republicans, and I call it retribution. And so a good
Gotcha.
example is like basically getting back at some perceived fault that the person has had. And okay, so let me just ask you this, right? Is it possible, like I understand like under like, it could effectively be their fault in a lot of cases. But let's say if you just saw a lot of people, running into the same problem, right? Would you say that maybe there's like some kind of underlying thing that needs to be addressed?
It would depend the amount of people that do suffer from it.
Okay.
So
Let me give
for
you an example, right?
Gotcha.
Let's say, you have a bridge and you just have no guardrails, right? It's killing, say 100 people a year, right? By not having any guardrails. And then we install some guardrails and it goes from 100 to 5. You know, it's probably safe to say we should probably have bridges that have guardrails, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of like what I'm thinking when it comes to like you used obesity as an example. If you have a lot of people who are obese, obviously there's some kind of underlying concern that ought be considered.
I understand what you're saying, but I don't see how this argues against my point. Like, for example, there is a group of men that are significantly violent towards women, right? You would agree with me there?
Yeah, I mean, men in general. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a group of women that are violent towards men. So, sorry, a group of men that are violent towards women.
Okay.
But the issue I have is that if the woman defends herself and he's injured, then I think that that's his own fault because he's the one that's creating the situation that forced the woman to act in a self-defense manner. But I'll agree with you that there's an underlying problem. Like, I don't mind if there's like a group that's has a therapy system that stops the person from committing the immoral action in the first place. But that's a little bit different from after committing the immoral action. Like, I'm not against therapy for smokers, but I am against healthcare for universal curing lung cancer for smokers. Do you understand the difference?
Not really, no.
There's a difference between trying to fix the problem before it happened and trying to fix the problem after it happened.
Yeah, I mean, so like when I'm saying that if somebody is a smoker, right, and I notice that there's a lot of people smoking, then what I would want to do is probably do things to discourage smoking. Right? That would deal with the problem.
Sure, I'm not. Yeah,
right?
but I'm not.
I guess like my problem
that
is like you seem to want to like put blame onto people who have, committed these actions. And I'm not saying that they aren't to blame, but the problem that I'm having is that it goes straight into this idea, the Republican idea of retribution. Do you see what I'm saying? I don't think it's actually helpful to do it that way. I'll give you another example. Back in the Middle Ages, the way that we dealt with people who stole is that we chopped their hands off.
Based.
And we also, this is the problem. This is the issue I'm referring to, is the concept of retribution. The other issue is, another one was if somebody was found sexually assaulting anybody, they would hang them, right? They would hang them, and often they would put them in front of a tree that was right in front of the village to say, hey, we hang these types of people, don't do that here. Right?
Gotcha.
The issue, of course, with this is, even though the Middle Ages was so draconian in their responses to dealing with these crimes, these horrible crimes, the end result was people still sexually assaulted and people still stole. And the end result was you had people who are homeless and have no hands. And then we also have out in front of the village, literal Witcher 3 like world where we're seeing crows biting out at the caves of somebody's eyeballs, right? Like, we don't want to see that, right? It's not a better society to see all these people without hands and to watch them, hanging from a tree, right? We don't want to see 20 bodies hanging from a tree, right?
No, I don't disagree with you, but like
okay. And considering that they didn't actually reduce the sexual assault, and they didn't reduce the stealing, right, by doing the draconian measures. So it's under my interpretation that I argue in favor of rehabilitation, or seeking to like address the underlying concerns that cause those behaviors to begin with, right? Like closely analyze what is it that causes somebody to want to sexually assault somebody, and what is it that causes somebody to want to steal, right? The stealing one is surprisingly easy, right? Just have some decent social safety nets where people aren't living paycheck to paycheck, and all of a sudden you're going to have less theft, right? I don't have to have any retribution there whatsoever. You with me?
Yeah, I'm with you. The point that I'm making essentially is I think I'm not against social safety net. There's a bit of a difference here. I'm not against having systems in place before the problem occurs. Like I'm in favor of that.
Okay.
So
So then I ask you why? Why do you want to make people pay for it because that they are neglectful of their own bodies?
Because they're the ones that made the choice to put themselves in that position, right?
But a lot of people are making that choice, right? So do you think that there could be something wrong there? What causes that to happen?
Again, yeah, there's probably is a ton of reasons that I'm in support of addressing. I just the problem is like we can address the problem before it occurs. That I'm fully in support of. If you want to say that there should be therapy for smokers before they get lung cancer, yeah, I'm in support of that. But if they do get lung cancer, I don't think I should be. The society as a whole should be the one to pay for it. Now, I'll give you an exception to the rule. If a child starts smoking and gets addicted, right, and then smokes into adulthood, I think there is some legitimacy there that we should still pay for this kid's health, this young adult's healthcare.
You're aware that smoking is addictive, right?
Yeah, that's why I said that that's okay. I said yes, you should be.
So like, why? I guess like my issue is why are you getting stuck on like this desire of retribution, right? As opposed to, hey, let's fix the problem, as opposed to like obsessing over, oh, did they pay their fair share? I guess
it's not about paying their fair share themselves either. Healthcare is not free. Healthcare is not free.
I agree, it's not free. Even with subsidized healthcare, it's still not free, right? Because taxpayers have to pay for it. But objectively, right, because of the overall cost reduction by, I believe it's I always forget this term. Opportunities of scale, I think it is. What is the term? I'm trying to remember the economics term. I don't know why I blank on this. Daniel, can you help me out? Hold on.
I think it's opportunity of scale. Yeah, something like that. But I might not understand what you're referring.
Hold on, I'm referring. So basically, like the bigger something is, the cheaper it is to make it. Yes, opportunity of scale. Yes, the opportunity of scale. So basically the idea is like we have more and more people that are paying into the system, right? Which then results into the system becoming cheaper because there's a lot more people that are willing to pay for that item, and so it can be done at a mass level, right? It's kind of like, Coca-Cola, for example, right? They probably have a lot easier. They're able to sell their drinks a lot cheaper than, say, a mom and pop wanting to sell, their own homegrown Coca-Cola or their own homegrown soda. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure it does. Well, what was I going to? So yeah, the concept of retribution versus rehabilitation. Not to say that retribution, the issue here is that I'm not saying I'm not putting the blame on retribution either. Like, if a person goes to prison for 6 months for manslaughter, for example, in a sense, that's also retribution. A lot of people will recognize pretty quickly
that form of retribution is appropriate.
Wait, why?
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, I think like that in that situation, you're talking about somebody that is now presenting a very real and present danger for a lot of people, right? A person like that, you have to lock them into a box. There's no choice, right? Because their very existence threatens the existence of others, right? And I'm not meaning like monetarily, but like their physical life can be threatened.
Okay,
right?
so ignoring morally neutral options, then, if a guy tries to sexually assault a woman and this woman takes out a gun and shoots him, and now he needs a lung transplant, do you think that society as a whole should pay for that?
Yeah, I mean, I believe in a universal healthcare system. Sure.
Right. So it doesn't seem to be the case that like this guy is clearly a
I
threat to
understand
society.
that I don't like the guy who's a sexual assaulter as much as the next person. At the same time, I go, well, you know, if you plan on having a universal healthcare system, that's kind of entailed, right? And so, like, the benefits for me are far outweighing, like, the desire of retribution of the person who committed a sexual assault.
I'm not. Do you think that prisoners should have the right to vote?
It's a good question. I haven't really thought about that to a great degree.
So I actually think yes. I think that everyone should have the right to vote every single time. I don't think that right should ever be removed from somebody, regardless of how bad their crimes are. Like it's not relevant.
I mean, I don't know what they would vote for. I guess I don't know.
That's their choice. That doesn't matter.
Toss up. Yeah, I mean, sure, fair enough. Toss up in the air for me. I don't know. I don't have an answer for you on that one.
Hang on. What were we arguing about?
So, like, you understand that, like, when I argue for a society that doesn't argue retribution but in favor of rehabilitation, it likely will result in a better off society. Like, people just are better off. Like, they'd be happier. There would be less crime, as opposed to like the retributive society, right? Like, I mean, you can observe, for example, the United States has created itself a pretty robust, heavy police state, and you have to ask yourself, I mean, are people really happier now that there's like this heavy policing, situation where we're heavily increasing like the militarization of the police, whereas like countries like Europe have demilitarized. I'm sorry, I love how I said countries like Europe. That probably made Daniel cringe. I apologize, Daniel, for that. I mean,
just a bit.
European countries that they de-emphasized the retributive police, right? Where it was like a desire of punishment and putting them in jail, putting the bad guys in jail. And instead focused on, okay, well, why are they doing these things? And let's rehabilitate that, right? And let's remove the overall possibility of like deadly outcomes. Like I know in the UK, police officers don't typically carry guns. They usually just carry nightsticks. This reduces, people dying for any reason. I know in the US, it's probably not really possible to do that, but I mean, currently with the way that things are going as far as policing is concerned, like it's obvious to me that people are a lot happier in these European countries than they are in the United States when it comes to policing. So I don't think retributive models really work out that great in most situations.
I guess the issue here is I don't really consider this retribution as much as I consider this like you're just taking what's the responsibility for your actions. I guess that's what that feels like to me. But I guess that's we disagree there, right?
I mean, me personally, I'm in favor of holding people accountable, right, and responsible of their own actions. I'm not against that concept, but it's this desire to be like, well, they screwed up. They have to take the brunt of that burden.
Well, yeah.
Well, I mean, again, but I'm able to establish additional premises where I would say, hey, let's create the guardrails that I was talking about. Do you see what I'm saying?
Mhm. No, again, I'm not against guardrails. That's not what I said. I'm fully in favor of guardrails. It's just that if a person ignores the guardrail and then jumps over the building and breaks his leg, like I mean, maybe if you were riddled with some depth, then you wouldn't do it again. Oh, let me put it this way. I think that having
See, this is
denying
what I'm talking about when it
help.
comes to retribution. It sounds like
No,
you're
no,
arguing for retribution here.
Let me put it this way. Let me put it this way. I think that if we don't pay people who create their own problems healthcare, I think that's a form of guardrail.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Can you repeat that?
So let's say there's a bridge.
What's a
that
form of
100 peop-
guardrail?
No, I'm explaining. Let's say there's a bridge, and there's 100 people that die crossing this bridge every time they cross it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So you put guardrails on it. That's 5 people that die instead of 100. No.
Okay.
Then I throw up a sign that says, "If you jump off the guardrail, we're not going to throw rope to help you up anymore." So now instead of 5 people that are dying, it's people that are dying.
Sure. Though I guess what you would need to show is, does that actually happen? Right? I find quite often that these kinds of retributions, they're not super effective. Right? In a lot of situations.
Gotcha.
Right? People still smoke. Right? Why? Why do people still smoke? We know the negative health impacts. What is it? Why? You're saying that the reason why people smoke is because of free healthcare?
I'm making a joke.
Okay, I hope not. I hope you're joking. Holy crap. Yeah, I mean, we know it's because it's addictive, right?
Yeah, for sure.
That's why, right? People are addicted to nicotine. Nicotine is nice. That's why, and it gives you a chemical dependence. So yes, you would be addicted to cigarettes. And so by understanding that, we can create things societally to help mitigate those consequences, right? Those negative effects. But that, again, that removes the blame from the person who's smoking, and it instead puts it in favor of, okay, well, there's a reason why it's happening. It's like, and how do we reduce that? I hope that helps.
Yeah. Amanda, have you gotten a message or email from James?
Like recently?
Yeah.
No, I have not. Why?
Because I'm trying to set up a debate, and James has said that he's looking for some leftist debaters to debate on. So I was just curious. Maybe you'd be one of them.
I mean, maybe. Yeah, I could probably ask him. I mean, I did let him know, like, hey, if you ever need a leftist debater, just message me and I'll work around the schedule. So I don't know.
Imagine if he messages you for a socialism debate. That'd be awkward.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I would tell him I'm not a socialist, but, I suppose people...
You guys can push me in that case. It's fine.
Okay, nice. I like Daniel would. Daniel would do it.
Can I say a few things about this topic?
Sure.
Too?
Sure.
So, why do you think we need universal healthcare? First of all.
Yeah, I would say that it should be government.
Yeah, no.
What's
But
the word?
why do you think we should have universal healthcare?
Yeah, I think that there are certain things in life that are inelastic goods, right? So it doesn't matter how expensive something becomes, we need them, right?
Yeah. So you think that it's like a net positive for society, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. This is why we also curing in any universal healthcare system, you're treating everybody, because if somebody is sick, even if it's their fault, it's still better for society if they stop being sick and they become again a productive member of society. And just to give you like an analogy of why this would be true, is kind of like, I think you agree with having like a a governmentally run, societally funded fire department, right? Anywhere.
Yeah.
Right? Imagine you have a house and your neighbor, you know what? Your neighbor is like a bit crazy and he just burns his house down. Right? If it was the system where you're just playing retribution on him and you're saying, oh my God, I mean, he burned his whole house down. It's like he set the fire. I mean, we shouldn't help him right now. We shouldn't, we shouldn't have the fire department come and stop the fire. Right?
No.
I think you would agree. No, but I think you would agree that, the fire department not answering that call because he started the fire is actually not going to do good to you either, right? Because the flames from his house can easily pass to your house, right? And it's kind of the same with people that are sick in society, right? The fact that that person is sick and we're not helping it can have detrimental effects to other people around the person, even if they didn't have anything to do with it, right? Maybe it will impact it surely impacts his family. It surely impacts his friends, co-workers, other people that might depend on that person from multiple other things. Right? So the reason we are actually extending this hand, even if it's his fault, right? Maybe he did something really bad and he knew, there's a chance that could happen. We're still doing it because on a net is a beneficial thing for society overall.
Okay, so there's a bit of a misconception. I do think they should get treated. I just don't think society should be footed with the bill. That's the point. If a person has lung cancer, I still think treatment should occur. It's just that the payment of that treatment should be his responsibility. Not that they would say, oh, do you have $300,000 to pay for your lung cancer? And the dude says no, and then the dude says, get the hell out of here. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that the treatment of lung cancer.
Actually what happens is that they don't tell you to get out, right? What they'll do is that they'll treat you anyway, and you basically are just saddled with this ridiculous amount of debt, and you have to, sell your house and all sorts of horrible things, when it's like a lot of these things are just mitigated with simply the public healthcare system that exists. Canada figured it out. Canada still has insurance companies. Like, they basically have a province run insurance companies that Canadians, they all pay into their specific province, and then they just get that insurance, right, from birth. And they don't have to concern themselves with it. I mean, is it longer wait? Yeah, it is. But can you take that in comparison to, like, in the United States, where it is, even if you are insured, it is possible, if you get contracted a specific illness, that you basically have to mortgage your house.
If you get an illness, is that your fault? Or are we talking?
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's like you don't really choose to get cancer, right? It just kind of happens. Right? There's a lot. Just so you know, right? There are a lot of smokers that, believe it or not, don't get cancer. It happens.
Yeah, but it's a reasonable thing to assume that you'll get cancer if you smoke, right?
It's actually not necessarily reasonable. It's actually far higher probability that you will not get cancer than you would get cancer. However, that's beside the point, right? Obviously, we know cigarettes cause cancer, but the problem that I'm having is that why not just like have a system that, like, you understand right now in the United States, we pay more per person in healthcare under the private system than we do if we just made it a universal healthcare system by expanding the Affordable Care Act. Like, why? What's the point of this?
Point is, I don't get to pay for their problems.
I'm lost.
Yeah, but their problem can become your problem too. Well, this is the thing.
What if, for example?
Yeah, but that's true with everything, right? A person could be arrested, and my problem could become his problem.
Okay, hold on. If somebody is like becomes poor, right? If they're very poor, they decide that they're going to steal from you, right? Obviously, it's their fault. They stole, but it's like, why were they poor to begin with? How did that happen? Were there things that caused that to happen that can be patched up to help remove that, right? Especially if you see a lot of people going through that, right? And right now we see a lot of people going bankrupt. It's the number one way people go bankrupt in the United States is medical costs, right? And so there's millions of people already affected. And the question is, do we do anything about it? Do we just say, well, because it's their fault, we shouldn't have a universal healthcare system? I find that crazy.
All right. Okay. There's a guy that wants to talk to you.
Yeah. I have Amanda Thomas says, Amender, all the Canadians I've spoken to really don't like their healthcare system. It sounds good, but nothing is perfect. I agree. Nothing is perfect. But if you had to ask yourself, what would you rather have, the Canadian healthcare system or the American healthcare system? I guarantee you every single one of those Canadians are clamoring.
Gotcha.
All right. And then we're going to go ahead and move off. Thank you for the conversation, Shell Shock. We're going to go ahead and move to the next person.
Gotcha.
All right. Looks like we got Base God Flashy that would like to speak. Base God Flashy, you are being invited.
Yo, what's up? This is the first time I've talked to you post-election. Yeah. See, because I remember before the election happened that I was talking to you about it, and I was saying before, I was like, I'm not confident Kamala's gonna win this. Like, something in my gut tells me Trump's gonna win it.
Yeah, and I was doubling down on Alan Lichtman's, and I'm so upset that Alan Lichtman's predictive model just did not work. It just didn't work. Which is
everyone's crapping on Alan Lichtman now.
Yeah, no, they are, because like he just said, oh, man, how annoying.
So you're I forgot, you're a fan of Destiny, right?
I used to watch him a lot, and now it's like I barely watch him at all, right? I think I did watch one video of him today, but I'll tell you, I'll go week 2-3 weeks and just not watch him. Yeah,
so I don't know if you've been seeing what his analysis and takeaway of the election and everything is. Have you?
No. Why don't you tell me about it?
So he's like, there's like a neoliberal, you know how there's like different wing. Well, actually, I guess you didn't know that, right? There's like different wings of people in the Democratic Party. There's like the neoliberal, moderate, centrist wing, and then there's like a progressive wing and all that.
Yeah.
So he's like he's on the side of like, hey, let's just push all of the progressives out and like move more towards the center and become more moderate and all this shit. I was wondering what your thoughts on that are.
I think we need to focus on the plight of the working class. I think that's really important, right? I think like currently, like people had a perception of the economy, and that caused people to go, I don't believe you, right? And that was the number one issue, according to voters. That, and it's painfully apparent that we need to meet where voters are in the sense that they don't really follow politics, right? Sometimes just simple messaging is really just what needs to happen. And I know that sounds kind of like, I don't know, like if I'm like talking down to them or whatever, to like an average voter, but that's really what it comes down to. I mean, if you think about it, the voter, most of the voters don't pay attention to politics, right? Less people voted in this election than in 2020. And to point that out, right, there was a spike in searches in late October, saying, is Biden still running?
Oh, geez, that's crazy.
Like, these people don't watch this stuff. They're not involved in it. They're not interested. They don't know who Kamala is. They don't know how to say her name right. They don't care, right? None of it matters.
Did you see the some of the exit polls that were coming out from the election?
No. Why don't you tell me about it?
So I don't know. Maybe this has happened before, but it's the first time I've seen it in a long time. But what ended up happening this time around was the Democrats ended up winning with voters who made over $100,000, but ended up losing like actual working class and middle class people.
Dang.
So that was like wild to me, and I was like, wow, they definitely need like a messaging like change. That's why I was like, I've been so frustrated seeing people like Destiny going around with his whole thing, because like they seem to think that running around with like moderates and trying to pull over like never Trump Republicans is like a winning coalition when it like clearly is not.
Yeah, again, like I just don't think people read this stuff. They don't know anything about it. And they go like, who's Kamala? Oh, I know who Trump is. And then that's like that's where we're at. And like that, and then for the people who are informed, or at least somewhat informed, right, their position is that they have a perception of the economy, not that the economy is actually bad, but that they perceive the economy as bad. They're told that the economy is bad because of the increase of inflation, and hearing the response that, oh well, if you look at all these other OECD countries, they all went through inflation and we recovered faster than them. I mean, that's true. That part's true, but they don't care what's true. They're just like, well, I'm paying $10 for McDonald's and I used to pay $5.
Did you participate a lot in the debates that in I'm not going to mention the server, but you know what server we're probably talking about? A couple years back, when we were talking about the Build Back Better bill and Joe Manchin and Kirsten Sinema and all that stuff.
No.
Okay. Yeah. Do you have a opinion on all that was going on?
I do not.
Okay. Yeah, because a lot of the neoliberal moderate types were defending Kirsten Sinema and Joe Manchin for voting against that Build Back Better bill, which would have changed a whole lot of stuff for like working class people.
Mm-hmm.
And moderates were like defending them, basically saying like, oh, you're gonna run them out of the party, they're gonna leave the party, or they're gonna lose elections if they vote for this because they live in moderate districts and everything. And I just found it funny as hell that neither of those senators are running for re-election ran for re-election this time. Like,
yes, you're saying
Kirsten Sinema, yeah, like they didn't gain anything from like just tolerating them. They should have like strong-armed both of them into voting for that bill.
I mean, like,
and can I add a thing? Because I think this is actually a super good point. I feel like if Build Back Better would have passed, Kamala would have won right now.
Yeah, she definitely would have.
Like, for sure.
It would have changed a whole lot.
Yeah.
But it didn't, so... and it was all thanks to two people. There was Manchin and Sinema. And Sinema, she lives in my state, and I know firsthand how unliked she was. She was so unliked that she left the party, and then she ended up dropping out of the election.
What Destiny is saying is absolutely stupid, because the moderate position was not to yell at those two people and not to strong arm them, and that was the moderate position. And the moderate position is exactly the thing that made Kamala lose. And even her campaign was kind of, it started with like a lot of positivity and progressive messaging, and then it just did what it usually does in democratic circles, just cater to the center.
Yeah, and then they asked her like,
here's the thing, right? They didn't cater to the center. They catered to other like they decided, oh, it'd be really cool if she hung out with Liz Cheney.
Yeah.
Like what? Like that's
yeah.
like one of the least liked people ever. It's like, why would you bring in Liz Cheney? That ought to help. Like what? Like said nobody would ever do that.
According to the exit polls, she actually received a less percentage of Republicans voting for her than Joe Biden did in 2020.
Oh,
which is just hilarious and insane. That like it just shows that was such a terrible, failed fucking approach to things. Like, yeah, that was just awful. And then she also was asked, how would you be different from Biden? because
So,
her whole thing
Ama-
is she's supposed to be a change candidate, right?
Amanda just
And-
pointed out, do you think our daily life costs matter? Rent, food, gas. I don't eat out. I just know absolutely all of my bills have gone way up and it's awful. Yes. See, this is what I mean when they're referring to the perception, right? And
Yeah.
they can feel it happen in front of them. It is true that we raised the M2 money supply for COVID relief. And it is also true that the Federal Reserve also attributed to that. And it is also true that the rise in gas prices due to OPEC was the factors into the global increase of inflation. This is interesting because if you understand how inflation works, it makes a lot more sense, because think of it kind of similar to like bleeding out, right? When you're bleeding out, you're losing a lot of blood, and there's blood everywhere. There's blood on the floor, right? You can stop the bleeding entirely, right? Make it no more bleeding. That's great, but there's still a lot of blood on the floor, right? So it's like you see all the blood on the floor and it's like, man, I just stopped the bleeding. I thought you told me that I wasn't bleeding anymore. I'm like, yeah, you're not bleeding anymore, but there's still blood on the floor. And people, when it comes to inflation, it's kind of in that way where they think that because they see the blood on the floor, they think therefore, well, the inflation is there. Well, no, I mean, we basically stopped the hemorrhaging and now there's blood on the floor. So an example of this is inflation went up. It caused overall prices to go up, especially in terms of food, rent, and gas, exactly what you pointed out. We thankfully have stopped the inflation through the Federal Reserve. It actually had nothing to do with Biden. And then, however, the inflation is still there, right? The prices went up and they never went down, right? There's still the blood on the floor, if that makes any sense. And I believe that inflation would have hit us whether it was Donald Trump in office or whether or not it was Joe Biden in office. And I think it would have made a negligible impact as to, if Biden was it. Because I know there's the poorly named Inflation Reduction Act actually had nothing to do with lowering inflation whatsoever. It just was a large stimulus bill that we're going to see, basically profits from for decades to come. It just would have been ineffectual as far as reducing inflation. What reduced inflation was the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve acted quickly and it acted faster than other OECD countries. So we managed to stop the bleeding faster than everyone else, but there's still blood on the floor. I hope that kind of clears things up as to why the prices went up. But again, this is not an interesting discussion for low information voters. All they do is they have the perception, and then that was enough to go, well, under Biden, economy bad. Under Trump, economy good. that's all it took.
Too, is that
right?
they're not
it's
even
easy to understand.
They're not even they don't even give any credit to Obama fixing the economy at all, in Trump inheriting a good economy.
The TARP Act? That was crazy. Yeah. Do you have any idea how unpopular the TARP Act was?
Yeah, people still talk a lot of shit about it too. Yeah.
No. I have Athena saying they cater to the wrong crowd. White males are not going to relate to brown female celebs. They blame the president because they don't understand how economics works, and no gas prices were not due to OPEC. Supply and demand, basic econ, we were so far behind worldwide, and supply and demand went sky high. So even though Trump added a crap load of debt to the coffers. I always thought that the OECD countries, that OPEC did increase their prices in gas when the demand surged post-COVID. So
I thought Trump garnered or crafted a deal with OPEC in 2020 to reduce.
Craft a deal with OPEC?
Yeah, remember there was also
OPEC
the war
seriously.
in Ukraine.
Why would OPEC
that
give it
affected.
I think he got a deal like passed with them or something to like reduce production by like 10 million barrels a day or some shit.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty
but
sure
the
that
war in Ukraine actually affected a lot, like the international market when it comes to oil and gas. So that didn't really help, and it gave OPEC a lot of leeway to what they wanted.
I think the Trump deal lasted until like May 2022 even. But
Another
I don't
thing
know.
that I want to point out is like a thing that a lot of people always mention is the Keystone XL pipeline. It's hands down one of the most frustrating things that I have to discuss because they think, for whatever reason, that having this pipeline would increase overall gas. It would not. It does not increase the overall gas. And literally, you're talking about one pipeline out of like the hundreds of pipelines that the United States uses, right? It was just this political piece to be used, I guess, like to lambast that by denying the Keystone XL pipeline, that increased gas prices. And that's not the case. Give me one quick second. I'm almost certain that OPEC did increase the price of oil, which causes the increase under Biden's presidency. But let me just make sure.
I think that's crazy too. I wanted to mention though was the deficit and how like I would think most economists would agree that if the economy is doing well, you should be paying down the deficit, right? Um, so it's kind of bizarre that during the entirety of Trump's first term, even before the whole COVID spending and everything, he was just increasing the deficit again and again and again, like every single year.
Okay. So in late 2020-21, OPEC Plus resisted calls from the United States to increase oil production. And this was amidst a time of high global demand and supply chain constraints, which contributed to the elevated oil prices. Right. There was also OPEC implementing production cuts during the COVID-19 pandemic, which were only gradually eased, which impacted supply and prices. Does that help? I hope that makes sense. So I was not wrong. They did in fact do this.
There was also that report that came out of like the net 10-year approved debt or something like that. It was like Trump just like spends like a madman with his tax cuts.
He added, there was a lot, this was contributed to, I think it was 3% inflation was the stimulus checks. I mean, I could have told you that. I was like, wait, by putting money into M2, right? That has a multiplicative factor, right? Because we run under a fractional reserve lending system that for any dollar that you say pay for, that's $10 into the market. And I can explain how that's even possible.
Person said cutting tax rates isn't spending. Sure, but if you're lowering receipts while not lowering the spending, I mean, you're still growing the deficit.
All right. So I'm going to show real quick. I'm going to show my Excel spreadsheet.
Well, that's the thing. Trump did not lower spending.
No, yeah, he did not lower spending. He increased spending overall. But let me, I'll show you an example of this. So basically how it works is, let me first share my Excel spreadsheet. Give me a moment. Where is my Excel spreadsheet? Window capture.
He had a trifecta in Congress, so that's not a good answer, depth chart.
Okay, so I want y'all to look at my screen. Y'all see my screen?
It's a bad answer. Yep.
So we run under a fractional reserve lending system. Okay, and so understanding how this works, it's very important to know that the amount of money that a bank is required to keep is at minimum 10% of the deposits. So take, for example, if there is, say, $1,000 into the economy. Well, that means that they can lend out 900 of those dollars, right? So we're going to take A1 and we're going to multiply it by 0.9, right? Because that would make it what they can loan out, right? and we can do it again where it is this multiplied by, you know, the 0.9, right? So we can see that the next bank over that got deposited the $900, they can loan out $810. Okay, and you can extrapolate this down, right, until basically it gets down into cents. So I'll keep doing that. Oh, sorry, that was a mistake. We're gonna just keep. I'm gonna keep rolling this until it reaches, you know, effectively. You know, we're gonna get down into the cents. Okay, 2 cents. Okay, so now we're at the 1 cent margin, right? At this point, you know, rest is negligible. It doesn't matter. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to just equal out. We're going to sum our A2 to A110. Right, and you'll notice, I do have to include A1. Out of the $1,000, right, it is now $9,999.90, almost 91 cents. Right, and mind you, I did not include the additional fractional amounts, but basically what it is it's $10,000. Right, if I get it to its asymptotic position, it would be for every $1,000 that's in the market, that's $10,000 in the market. That's how that works. So when everybody received $1,200, or I think it was total of $2,400, that means that got multiplied by 10 times for every single person that had that money. And so that would absolutely contribute to the inflation to a large degree. There is also to consider, oh shoot, what was I going to say? Yes, there's also to consider like what happened when there was the banking, the TARP Act with the banking recovery. And I, for the longest time, could not understand when they gave the banks money. I said to myself, wait, that would increase inflation, right? Because you're just introducing money into the system. That's what I thought anyway. And I'm like, if you introduce money into the system, that would increase inflation. Why didn't it increase inflation in 2008? In fact, it was the opposite. There was deflation, and then there was recovery, and then things were back to normal. What caused that, right? Very weird. Well, the answer to that is actually quite simple. It never entered into M2 money supply, meaning that there was no possibility that it could actually go into the fractional reserve lending system, which basically means that it did not have that multiplicative factor. And so it basically just recovered the economy without having any inflation. So that's just an interesting thought, just from the top of my head there.
It's also an interesting response to the people that claim that the Inflation Reduction Act increased inflation.
Yeah, I mean, like there's additional spending being put into that, but I mean, you're talking about like a lot of infrastructure spending, a lot of spending that was already like intended. There was like, honestly, like we're going to be seeing dividends in that for a very long time. You know, this idea.
Yeah, the crazy thing is that the inflation rate, I'm pretty sure, has been going down since June of 2022, and I don't think the Inflation Reduction Act even passed until like August of 2022. It probably didn't even go into effect until the next year.
Depth Charge Media says, making excuses for Biden not getting stuff done. Glorious. Here's the thing, though. Biden did kind of get stuff done. In fact, he's getting stuff done even all the way into even now. You know, there's been numerous bills that he's trying to pass before, and he's trying to strengthen bills that Donald Trump is likely to remove, which smart move, by the way.
He's also had slimmer margins in Congress than Trump had in his first 2 years. And
he got bipartisan support.
Yeah. That's why it's just kind of crazy. But yeah, just wanted to see your thoughts on all that stuff and what you think the future of the Democratic Party is, because I'm hearing a bunch of different stuff, and yeah, everyone's going crazy about it.
I mean, I think there needs to be like an appeal to the working class. right? And we really need to meet voters where they're at. We need to make the messaging simpler, right? Because like these long-winded explanations, right? It doesn't matter if you're correct. People don't care. Like they just go, they just kind of glaze over. Like what I just gave you with the Excel spreadsheet, like that's not people don't find that argument to be efficacious, even though it's correct, right? I'm trying to show you like how it works. And it's like, yeah, it makes sense, but people just kind of glaze over it. Like, I don't know. It's like TikTok brain. Like, I don't know what it is. Like,
Let me ask you this. Is there any, maybe one or two politicians you can think of right now that you would think would be like a good model for the whole party to follow in terms of direction and messaging?
a good model for the whole party to follow. You're gonna hate me for this.
Hmm.
You're gonna laugh at me.
Who?
Bernie Sanders.
Why would I laugh at you? That's what I think is like their only freaking hope.
Okay, because it's like I was so anti Bernie Sanders, and even now, like I still kind of think he's a socialist. But I mean, I'll be honest. I'll take anybody over Trump. Like Trump is horrible. Trump is the
I
worst.
saw
thing.
even what's that guy's name? That Democratic strategist, James Carville. I saw even him like saying like, yeah, like we think some of Bernie's ideas would have helped us win like the minimum wage
Probably.
thing, whatever, but or any of the other stuff. I know how you feel about minimum wage.
I mean, I think we're like far below like market equilibrium, and really at the end of the day, what it affects is like people who are. Let's just be honest. It's teenagers. Okay, it's
I've been
most
seeing
people who are in their 30s aren't getting paid minimum wage. Like, come on.
I've been seeing other people talk about like fucking John Fetterman and stuff as like possible like future front runners of the party, and I'm like, God no, please don't make that guy. Like he's just like an idiot raging Zionist. That's all he is.
Yeah.
Like he would be terrible. He's where I would actually like I voted for Kamala. I would not vote for John Fetterman. I'm saying that right
I think
now.
Daniel Hume is just quietly giddy. He's giddy at the fact that like aha, he is turning more and more socialist every day. Like
I know. Told you that already.
See, here's the
And
thing.
this is the thing. It's the pipeline. You know, it's like the right winger to what were you? Because you said it.
Republican.
He used to be like a
Ah, my-
libertarian.
No,
Republican to
libertarian. Democrat to socialist. Yeah, that's the pipeline.
Is that you think?
You're at the last hurdle.
All right.
I think that Bernie used to be. I think Bernie used to be a socialist. I don't think he's a socialist anymore, though. Honestly, I think he's just
No,
like
he is.
I think he's just like a populist.
I genuinely think to this day he is a socialist. But
really,
He's a democratic
Yeah, I do.
socialist.
like you think like in his heart of hearts, but like do you think he's like given up on it or whatever?
No. I think he genuinely like he's been consistent pretty much throughout his entire life. Like I have no reason to believe that in his late age that he's even close to changing his mind.
Nah, I think if he was an actual socialist, he wouldn't even be working in the Democratic Party. He'd be trying to he'd be like in the Communist Party or something.
Oh come on!
No,
What's
seriously.
What's the communist party doing? Like
nothing. That's the point.
They're not clapping because they're upset at loud clapping. Like I don't know.
Yeah, no. That's what I'm saying. Like that's the point. He's not doing that. That's why I think like
they want the
could
communist
deliver.
revolution, but for some reason they just have a hard time with loud sounds. Like, like bro, that's so cringe.
No, because like I think like maybe in his heart of hearts he does still kind of believe in socialism, but I don't think that's what he's pushing.
Yeah.
Like I think at this point in his life he's just pushing for like progressive reform, whatever the hell he can get, and all that.
Yeah.
I mean, I was wrong. He's like he's not a democratic socialist. He was always a social democrat. So what he is basically is kind of like the Nordic idea of like a leftist.
I do
which
not
is
believe
basically
that, by the way.
a Democrat that is pushing for a lot of socialist ideas. You know, like safety nets, healthcare, all these things, right?
Do you think the Democratic Party needs better messaging with men?
Yes.
Yeah.
They can't. They can't be all soy boys like me.
I don't think. I think like this way of looking oh, you need more better messaging with men and with women, I think it's kind of defeatist. And I think the way they should actually,
Defeatist?
yeah, because you shouldn't see it that way. And I
thought
think
it'd be
it's
like the other
more,
way around. Like, would it not be like
nah, no,
like
I'm gonna tell you why.
wanting
It's
to?
like, because I
Okay,
think they should focus more on like the class aspect of the thing rather than like the gender or whatever else. Because I feel focusing more on the working man, and I've told you this before, Amanda. Literally, the Democratic Party has the blueprint to win every election for the next 100 years.
How
They
so?
have it. It's in their hands. They could just look back at what FDR did, just take everything FDR did, and just want to do that. And always say, we want to do that. And not only that, not just say you want to do it, but actually doing it when you have the power. When you have one extra vote, you should leverage that extra vote to do good things for the working people. And that's it. And if you do that, then you're going to have all the working people voting for you until they're dead. Because they will know that you actually want what's best for them. And you know what? If you focus on that, if you focus on the working people just living a good life because they can afford shit and they don't have to worry what they're going to eat tomorrow or if they're going to have a house tomorrow, then all these adjacent things, like all this culture wars shit, is going to get solved like way easier. Because then you're going to have the Republicans that can't be pushing all these things instead of pushing the real things, right? It's like how much is going to impact like the society, like an anti-trans messaging from the Republican Party, if the Democrats are still winning because they're focusing on the right things, which is like what matters to most people,
Yeah,
That's
for
it.
sure.
Yeah, like even like from the time of like FDR. So this is like what 30-year like pretty much dominating period in which most people would call like the golden age of the United States. Where I think there was only there was only one Republican president in that entire time, and it was like a moderate Republican, Eisenhower, who even expanded some of the New Deal programs. So it's like,
Yep,
it's pretty crazy to like. There's a winning formula there, and they've just totally moved away from it.
No, I
Which-
think I'm in agreement with you. I mean, I would have to look further into like what exactly FDR's policies were, but one thing I did read about is that, I mean, let's face it, the Democrats pushed Bernie Sanders to the side, even though that, he was actually doing quite well in terms of like the popular vote initially. Right. And so the Democrats just selected, right. They selected Hillary Clinton because they just thought that, she was more moderate. And, maybe moderate isn't the move, right? These people don't appear to be satisfied with just the moderate, right? Maybe a guy like Bernie Sanders is necessary, right? Because he showed that it was possible to have effective crowdfunding, right? He showed that.
Yeah, and I think it's crazy too. I'm not kidding. Maybe you agree with me, maybe you don't. I think if it wasn't for COVID, I think Trump would have beat Biden in 2020 as well.
Oh, yes. No, completely agree with you. Wait,
Yeah,
are there
and
people that disagree with you about that?
Oh yeah,
Oh, they're
100%.
wrong. They're wrong.
Yeah, because
I don't know
they're
what
like,
you're
oh,
talking about.
Bernie. They're like, Bernie got destroyed in 2020, the primary, but it's like, yeah, but you got to look like if you actually go into the details, it's like Bernie won the first 3 contests in that primary in convincing fashion. In fact, in some of them, I think like 1 or 2 of those first 3 races, Biden wasn't even the top 2. I think he was like 4th place or something, and like some of those contests. Then he won South Carolina, and then all the centrists backed out of the primary. They quit, and then they all endorsed Biden. And then they convinced Elizabeth Warren to stay in the race so that she can take votes away from Bernie.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, yeah, you could talk about all like that was a literal conspiring to do that shit. And I do think that, yeah, the only reason that Biden ended up winning is because of COVID. But there's like neoliberals that say like, no, Biden was the guy to defeat Trump. He was the only one that could have defeated Trump. I'm like, honestly, you probably could have put any of the candidates up there and they would have beat Trump at that point.
I think
in time.
Bernie would have won in 2016 and Bernie would have won in 2020.
Yeah, he
No
definitely
problem.
would.
I mean, obviously, it's like too late, right? Because
Yeah, he's too old already.
Yeah, he's
but
too-
I mean,
Yeah, he's too old now. He's way too old now.
Trump is also like the oldest president the U.S. will ever have until now. So I don't know.
it's true.
Wait, the margins were very thin in 2016, Jixie. Like
They
really?
were very thin. They were close. It's closer than you think.
Because I mean, I think there are some races where you could have actually probably blamed like Green Party voters in 2016, but in 2024, I still see people trying to blame Green Party voters, and it's like, nah, they got spanked in 2024. I don't think the Green Party had any effect on the election this time.
Yeah. No, I'm with you
That's
there.
true.
It makes sense.
Yeah. Well,
Link
I
said
guess I'll let
Hillary
somebody
was
else-
super close to winning. That is true. Very
Yeah.
close.
Well, I'm glad you seem to have a lot of the same opinions on this stuff. I was scared you might be mirroring Destiny more.
Oh, I mean, yeah. I mean, like people accuse me that saying that I watch Destiny, and it's like I used to watch Destiny like crazy, right? But I think he's like, I don't know, in like later age, he's become like, I don't want to say more crazy. He's become more flamboyant about his positions, right? And I don't know, like some of the stuff that he said about like Israel, I'm like, I can't get
Yeah, he's
behind
just
you
like-
on this. Like, you're kind of like a jerk. Like,
He's just being
and
like a
that's
flagrant
putting it, and that's
Zionist.
putting it lightly, right? Because obviously it's a lot worse than just being like a big meanie head, right? When he's like, I don't know, like
He spent
he's been
also
so
spent
heavy
a-
on the Israel side where I'm just kind of like,
yeah,
know about
fuck
that.
that. He's also spent the last couple months just like talking about January 6th incessantly, and it turns out it didn't even matter. Like people don't care about that really. Honestly, I barely even cared about it at this point. It's
I mean, I care about it like mostly because it's like it is the threat to to our democracy of our time, right?
Mhm.
It's like this very historical action that never should have happened, but it did.
yeah, but I don't think that a lot of people were thinking about it at least this time around. Like I think one of the I think one of the top things, at least on the program that I was watching, I think I was watching NBC
Mhm.
on election night. One of the things that I was seeing, like it wasn't the top thing. The top thing was the economy that all the voters were saying was most important to them. I think second was democracy. At least what I was seeing on NBC. But
Okay.
so a lot of people were thinking like, oh, it's the Never Trumpers and all the people coming out to vote against Trump. And I think what it actually was just Republicans like saying that Kamala and like Biden doing like lawfare or whatever was a threat to democracy. Like that's honestly what it seems like.
Oh, really? You think? Like,
Yeah.
this is what I'm saying is like the simple messaging, I think, is what like ingrained it. I think that. Anyway, it looks like we got as well Jixie who would like to join in. So we're
Yeah,
going to
it
go
was
ahead
nice
and invite Jixie. Yeah, good. It's good talking to you, Flashy. I appreciate it.
Yep. Thanks. Bye.
What do we call that? The voting. Why did
The Democratic
Kamala
Party
lose?
future.
And what do I call it? What are the options?
Democratic Party's
Today.
future.
Okay. Yes. So it looks like we have Jixie that is requesting this to speak. So Pepper, stop. She's like annihilating my arm. You should see her right now. She's just killing my arm. Oh, I still have my Excel spreadsheet. My fault. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to invite Jixie. Jixie, you are being invited. Jixie, you are being invited. Oh, what happened? It says you were requested to speak. Invite to speak. Come on up. Come on up, Jixie. What is happening? He says it won't let him up. Cooked. Are you on your phone? Can he even be forced on? I don't even think you can. Oh, there we go.
No, now it's on.
All right, we're going to just try that over again, okay? Because I got to make sure I got my timing correct. Let's see here. Hold on. Come on up, Jixie. How you doing, Jixie? Jixie, are you there? I cannot hear Jixie. Daniel, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I can't
All right.
hear him either.
I cannot hear Jixie. All right, we're
And
gonna
he-
try it again, getting our timing correct.
All right, can you guys hear me?
Jixie,
Yep,
you are
now it's
being
good.
invited. How are you doing, Jixie?
Can you guys hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you doing tonight?
Oh, what would you like to discuss?
I just wanted to ask how you're feeling about the ICBM strike in Ukraine.
Oh, you're talking about is it an ICBM strike? I thought it was just some
Yeah,
long-range
it was
missiles,
a
not
kin-
intercontinental ballistic
It
missiles.
was a kinetic MIRV strike.
Okay, yeah, all right. I mean, I have not read that, but I'll take your word for it.
Yeah.
I
So I just want to know, like, if you think it was justified or not.
I think so. Yes. You don't think it was justified?
No, I do. I think it was absolutely based. I think Putin did what he was supposed to do.
Huh?
I think Putin did exactly what he was supposed to do.
Are you on Putin's side on this?
On this, yeah, absolutely.
Can I ask, what country do you live in?
I live in the United States of America.
Why are you siding for a country that is diametrically opposed to you?
I'm not necessarily pro-Russia through and through. Obviously, like they've committed things like the Bucha massacre, bombing of multiple children hospitals in the Kyiv area, not even just Ukraine. I mean, they've done a lot of terrible things. But so when we look at how we react, right? So like Israel bombed the Iranian embassy in Damascus, and Iran responded. I think that was justified and great. You know, defending your sovereignty and your embassies is the same way. You know, Putin's responding to Western aggression and advancement by allowing us to launch, allowing Ukraine to use ATACMS and other long-range missile systems to strike into Russia, which puts Russian lives at risk. We would do the same thing if China were to park and give Mexico long-range ballistic missile systems to strike us if we were at war with Mexico, right? We would do the same thing to Mexico.
I've always
We would
thought that the
strike back.
reason why that Russia was attacking Ukraine was, one, it wanted access to the Crimean Peninsula, and in combination of that, it did not want Ukraine to join NATO, which it was in process of doing.
Right. No. So Ukraine had no NATO membership before, no potential NATO membership.
No, but they were going to be
before.
inducted.
I mean, they talked about it, but there was
it's not
no
that they
application.
talked about it. It's like, no,
There was
wait,
no application. There was no
I'm
application.
looking that up.
Yeah. So
I'm looking that up.
Ukraine actually put in their application. They put in their application when they were invaded, and that's why they were denied.
No, that's the second time. Hold on. Hold on, let me see here. Give me a moment. Just Yes. Prior to Russia's, yes, they did. They'd been involved with NATO since the early 1990s.
So they were involved with NATO, but do you know the
And
handshake agreement, Gorbachev and NATO leadership?
There was also the NATO Ukraine Commission, which was established in 1987, and it looks like that there was in 2019, Ukraine amended its constitution to make NATO membership a strategic goal.
Yeah, so
Right.
a strategic goal, but they never applied, right? So
What?
they did all
They're
of these.
literally
they
in
did all of
process.
these things. No, but they did all of these things beforehand, right?
You said
but
that
the
they
whole
didn't.
handshake
You
agreement.
said that they didn't, but they did.
Well, they didn't have applications. So
Okay,
the
but
problem
they
is like
did.
all of this did happen. They did have like NATO membership in their constitution. You know, that was their goal. NATO valued Ukraine,
All right,
but
so
just
here's
the
the
way
thing,
South
right?
Korea.
This is easily
Hold on.
Googleable, right? I Googled it, and so here we are.
Yeah, you're just
They
not
did
understanding
apply-
the NATO Commission, though. The NATO Commission wasn't membership. The NATO Commission is the same way NATO looks at South Korea. South Korea will not and will never be a NATO member, but they are a strategic ally to NATO in the same way Ukraine was a strategic ally to NATO. Do you know anything about the Minsk agreements, Amender?
No, why don't you tell me about it?
Yeah, so the Minsk agreements and the agreements that NATO and the United States gave to Russia and by extension the Soviet Union was that we would never push our NATO onto their borders. We would never put NATO nations on their borders, right? That was the Soviet Union's and by extension the Russian Federation's biggest fear, that NATO would be on direct border with Russia, right? They did not want that, and so the Minsk agreements, along with handshake deals between Gorbachev and NATO leadership in the United States, would say we will never force our borders on yours, right? We would never share a border with you, and that was broken in 2013 when the United States and NATO began to fund and help the revolution with aid or whatever
NATO
it may
did
be.
not grant membership
No,
to
but the United
because
no, they
because
never because they never
prior to the
applied.
2022 invasion because of concerns of provoking Russia.
Right. That's
The point
that's
is that
that's when they applied. There's a video of Zelensky in Kyiv, in the middle of the street in Kyiv, sitting down at a table saying, "Here's to our
but
future."
you're saying
and
that
then
it didn't
he's
happen, but it did, right? What
No,
happened?
no,
Did it
it didn't
happen, or
happen prior.
did they
It didn't
apply, or
happen
did they not
prior.
apply? Right?
No,
I
they
always thought
didn't-
that this
it
was a
didn't-
huge
they didn't
motivating
apply
factor. It's not a
prior. They didn't
motivating
apply
factor.
prior. That's what I said, Amanda. They didn't apply prior to the invasion. When they applied during the invasion, NATO instantly said no because they were being invaded, and they could have invoked Article 5 and turned that into a literal world war. The problem is when we look at how Putin's carrying himself in Russia and how Ukraine is, I would say, pandering to NATO and pushing and trying to guilt trip us into giving him more munitions, and we allow the British, the Americans, the British are using the Shadow Strike.
I'm just going to have to politely
munitions.
disagree with you in the sense that they absolutely were in process of joining NATO. There had been numerous instances where they had been trying to increase, and they have made it a direct goal to join NATO.
Well, what do you consider
there had been
process?
multiple
Like application?
efforts.
Because there was no application.
Yes, there was.
Not prior to 2022.
Yes, there was.
Not prior to 2022.
There was,
If you
Jixie.
could
Just
pull up
look
that
at,
document.
just literally look it up, right? You're talking about the second time that they applied. Yes, they did do that during the war, and they said no because obviously they're in a war, right? And
Yeah, right,
We're,
but
we're
that's
talking
not
about the
prior to
first time, right? And
2022
then there's
though.
been multiple efforts to try to join NATO, including a direct push, a direct party affiliation to join NATO. Okay, so
Right, but
this
that's
is
not
the fact.
That's not an application though.
What? Yes, it is. But
No, an application is when you sit down, you sign the documents to start the process to join NATO. I mean, I guess you could say metaphorically they were in the
document?
process to join NATO. Yeah, so let me get you the video. I can send you the video.
are you telling me you're grabbing all of this off of like a single YouTube video?
No, it's a video that the Ukrainians published themselves of Zelensky filing the paperwork in the streets of Kyiv after Russia's invasion
Okay, well,
as a sign
what
of
is the exact paper that you're talking about?
Yeah, so do you know how to join NATO?
What is the exact paper are you referring to?
Yeah, so there's a document.
What is it called?
There's documents and paperwork. I don't know the exact name, but there's a document and paperwork applied.
Well,
to
Ukraine
joining
created
NATO.
a formal ambition to join NATO
Yes,
in the
not prior to
2019
2022.
in the 2019 constitutional amendment that was passed by the Ukraine's
Yeah, they
parliament.
made that a goal. But the goal isn't the application. Like if I said my goal is to join Harvard, that doesn't mean I have an
But you
application.
said there
to
was no
Harvard.
paper. There's no application.
No,
there's
I said there was
so
no
then what is this
application
paper
prior to
you're talking
2022.
about?
So yeah, I'll send you the video. Give me a second.
Oh my God, it's so frustrating.
You can link in the side chat, Amender.
Yeah, I will. Yeah, so this is the first time, and this is according to President.gov.
Ukraine
that
applied to join
Ukraine-
NATO in 2008. Application not withdrawn. Final decision on country's entry should now be made to NATO members. So here's the problem, Jixie. Okay.
There you go.
I was being given. I'm being given. I've been given a direct.
It's in the side chat.
Oh my God! Please pause. Calm down. The problem is the problem that I'm having here is that on this show, right? We're called the sensible argument for a reason.
Sure.
Okay. The reason why I call it the sensible argument is because when somebody presents me evidence that is credible, that is coming from a credible source, I'm going to take that at face value. Okay. When I'm being told that Ukraine has applied and you're telling me that they haven't applied officially, I don't know what you mean by that. I don't know what specific
if you
paper you're talking about. Like just Google, did they do this?
Yeah,
Just Google
So,
it.
right. Yeah. So I sent in the side chat. My argument from the beginning is they didn't apply prior to 2022, right? So prior to 2022, there was an entire agreement in which to avoid escalation in the region to, say, hey, we're not going to join NATO. It's the same reason why the Ukrainians gave over their nukes.
We'll have to
the
agree to
Russian
disagree on this
Federation.
paper thing. So I'm going to just ask you, right? Why do you
Sure.
support Russia in doing this, you live in the United States. You
Yeah,
yourself
so
have
I
a vested
support-
interest
yeah.
in weakening Russia and strengthening the United States. What is your argument?
Right. So I have no vested interest in weakening any nation. Right. So like
What?
being a So being
What
a
if they are
patriot-
diametrically opposed to you and perfectly and have engaged in cyber warfare to take down the United States and create misinformation? Do you think that's a country you ought weaken?
I mean, if I disagreed with them, yeah. But do I disagree with them?
So
I mean, I don't.
So I want to be clear, right? You agree with Russia creating disinformation campaigns and performing cyber warfare in the United States?
No, in the same way I don't agree.
Then what is
with,
your
you know,
argument?
So the same way I don't agree with the United States creating misinformation and disinformation campaigns
Nope,
in
stop.
other nations such as Iran,
That's a different
China.
discussion. You're saying
no, it's not a different
this is a
discussion. It's not a different
whataboutism.
discussion.
I'm talking about
you say
specifically. I'm talking about
you
specifically
say-
the United States and Russia, right? Russia
Yeah,
is
hold on.
diametrically opposed to the United States. I never
Right.
said, disinformation good. No, I'm saying disinformation
Yeah, right.
bad,
But
right?
so
Destabilizing
the
governments
United
on purpose
States-
is bad,
the United-
right? And
the
so
United
Russia
States
is
has a
engaged.
vested interest.
Again, that's a whataboutism. You're saying, well, this bad, but also America do same thing. Yeah, I also think that's bad. So that's not an argument, right? The problem
Well,
is
no,
that
well,
you're
Amender.
siding with Russia, right, as opposed to the United States where you
this
live, right?
situation,
It benefits
absolutely.
you directly that the United States is victorious in this battle. And so I'm asking you, if Russia engages in cyber warfare and tries to create misinformation campaigns all across the internet, my question to you is this: are you in favor of that?
Am I no. So, but
Okay,
there's
cool.
a lot of nuance
So-
to that decision. But there's a lot of
So
nuance.
if you're
to
not
that
in
answer.
favor
There's a
of
lot
that, so if
there's
you're
a lot of nuance.
okay,
to
go
that
ahead and
answer.
give me your
There's a-
give me your nuance. Go
yeah.
ahead.
Yeah, so the problem is, right, is like, sure, I can say all day, every day that Russia bad, America good, right? And it'd be a lot easier in today's society to say that, right? Because it's socially acceptable and it's the social norm in the Western world to say Russia bad, China bad, everybody bad but the West, right? Of course I could do that and live a much easier life and have a much easier conversations. But the problem is like when we look at conflicts like this, they're not black and white, they're not one-sided, they're not two-sided, they're very, very, very gray. Right, like we see the Ukrainians and the Ukrainian government were oppressing native Russian speakers. They were oppressing Russian Orthodox. They were taunting the Russians. They were doing so many things to the Russians. And do I think that makes war okay? No. Do I think that makes aggression and anger okay? Absolutely. If we had Americans in the in Mexico, say in like on the border that were speaking English and they were being oppressed by the Mexican government because they were so close to America, we would absolutely be outraged. We would be saying war,
I'm curious. Who do you think was oppressed?
Who do I think was oppressed?
Yeah,
All
in this
sides.
current conflict.
Right now,
All
Ukraine.
sides. You think all sides?
Oh, absolutely. Do you?
You're out of
so
your
there were
mind.
drone
Are
strikes.
you kidding?
So there were drone
Are
strikes.
you observing like over 20% of their entire country is literally now Russian territory, and their entire all of their cities are being bombed left and right,
Well,
and you're sitting there saying
traditionally-
that Russia is the victims? Get the hell out of here! Come on.
No,
What is
I
this?
didn't say
you
Russia
need
was
to
the
actually
victim. I
argue
said-
things
I said everybody-
in a reality standpoint, right? It's
what
obvious
I'm
that
doing.
Russia. No, it's obvious that Russia is the aggressor, right? That's not an argument, right? We know that Russia is the aggressor. Do you agree that Russia is the aggressor?
In this war specifically, yes.
Okay.
But I would
All right,
say it's
all
a
right.
lot
So
more
saying
multifaceted.
that it's
I think a lot more
both sides
multifaceted.
doing
I
bitty
think
bad
it's a lot
stuff.
more
No,
multi-
it's
I think
Russia.
it's a lot
Russia's
more
doing it, right? That's
gray.
why every single
Oh,
country outside of Russian aligned silos do not support Russia's decision. Right? That's why. That's why over 130 nations disavow what Russia has done. That's why Putin is currently a war criminal. That's why. Okay, so we know that the problem is on Russia's end. Okay, so then I ask you, right? Because I go back to the same exact problem. Why do you side with Russia?
Yeah, so if I could
versus
answer,
the
you
United
interrupted me
States.
multiple times while I was trying to answer. So yeah, sure, I can tell you why. Like I told you before, it's like so. As an American, I have an interest in three things: my well-being, my community's well-being, and the people within my nation's well-being. And two of those things come after the first one, right? Because if my family and I'm not okay, then I can't worry about anybody else. And so the problem is like I could care less if Russia is spreading misinformation and doing all of these things, and they're diametrically opposed to us.
Hold on.
And at
I
the
just want to
same
be clear,
time,
right?
we have done
What
the
you
same.
care about,
We have
Jixie,
done the
you
same
care
thing
about
to
your
them
family
as
more
we
than
do
anything,
here.
right?
We have done this. Hold on. We have done the same thing.
Do
to
you
them.
care about your family more than anything?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So at the end of the day, we have done the same thing to them for the past 70 years. And so when we look at how Russia and Ukraine is being handled, of course it's a proxy war. Nobody would disagree that it's a proxy war. We are waging war against our enemy through another, avenue, through a nation. And I would argue that the quickest way to
Can I
peace.
just ask, what was your other motivation? You said your family and what else?
Yeah, my family and my own interests, right?
Own interest.
So,
Okay.
yeah, my own interests and my own interests, and I see, right. Through the.
I bet you Daniel Hume already knows my argument by heart.
Yeah. So
right?
my entire.
We don't even have
the
to communicate.
entirety of
He
my
already
day-
knows the argument. Go ahead, Jixie.
Has been worried about keeping up with the news because there was a potential. Like I woke up and seen an ICBM was launched at Ukraine. I'm like, oh shit, they nuked Ukraine. And it turns out it was a kinetic warhead, and it destroyed their space program. And like at the end of the day, I sit here and think to myself, that could have been Los Angeles, that could have been Chicago, that could have been any other that could have been any other city in America, because we decided to allow Ukrainians to strike within Russia and specifically at Moscow, because we wanted to escalate the war, because we are escalating war with our own weapons. We're giving them weapons to kill each other. And I would argue that is the most barbaric thing we can do as a civilization. So when we see Russia replying to aggression or Western aggression with a kinetic ICBM and warning the United States beforehand, we closed our embassy in Kyiv 24 hours beforehand. We knew a strike was coming. We just didn't know where. And we know there's a reason we didn't reply when we did. And there's a reason we're denying what we're denying is because we knew it was coming. So when we see how Russia's handling itself, I would argue that was the most humanitarian way to strike back at your enemy when they up aggression and up the things they're doing. So when they're launching drones at Moscow and hitting apartment buildings and hitting infrastructure in Moscow, that's war, right? War is bad. I think everybody in here can agree war is bad on all sides. There's no winner of any war because people die and people are wiped out, families are wiped out. And I think we can all agree that the Bucha massacre was bad. I think we can all agree that Russian conscripts being sent to Ukraine with bare minimum weaponry and equipment and being shot in the trenches and being tortured to death because they were 16 years old trying to live in Russia and they got thrown to the war because whatever reason they live in a certain area is wrong, right? Ukraine should not be doing that. In the same way we can say Russia should not be doing what they're doing. So when you say, do you side with Putin? I say in some areas, yes, and in some areas, no. I don't side with Putin in the fact that he wants to do what he wants to do in Ukraine. I think annexation is generally bad. But the same way I say the things we do to Russia is also bad. And the things we're doing in Ukraine and waging a war where it's wiping out families is bad. I don't think we should be having our hands in meddling in foreign conflict.
All right. So let's say we walk away, right?
Sure.
Is Russia known for invading other countries and causing trouble?
The Russian Federation?
Well, let me ask you this. What about Georgia, right? Did Russia ever do anything to Georgia?
The Russian Federation did. So the Russian
Okay,
Federation.
all right. So just to be clear, right? No. I don't want a giant thing, right? Because I let you finish. Now I want to make my argument. Okay. I understand your motivations, and I think I have a good argument here. Okay. So if you're talking about Russia, who is known for taking territory, I think you, Jixie, are very naive in thinking if the United States just steps away from this conflict, all of a sudden it stops at Ukraine. There is no indication that Russia would stop at Ukraine. They can easily go to other countries and cause disturbances there if they feel like that they can go for a land grab, right? I believe that if we stop them here, right, if they're reduced in power here, that this reduces them from aggressing against other countries. That's actually why NATO was even made to begin with, was to stop Russian aggression, right? Because Russia is intensely aggressive towards its neighbors. And so here's the thing, Jixie. You care about your family more than anything, and you care about your own interests more than anything.
Sure.
The United States being victorious in this conflict and Ukraine joining NATO is better for the United States, and it's better for your family because we do trade with European nations. We do trades with our allies, and yes, including Ukraine. And so if they are an Axis power that are against us, that negatively impacts your family as well as your own interests. Okay, that makes all products that your family is involved in more expensive, and it erodes the overall security of the United States to a small degree. So
Yes.
I ask you again, why do you side with Russia?
Yeah, so I already told you I don't side with Russia. I side with Russia on some things, but I don't side with them on all things. The same way I side with Iran.
You're moving your
and
goalpost.
Palestine
Do
and
you?
Iraq.
All right, all right, all right. So
I
did
said
you
from the
do
very
you
beginning,
side
I mean,
with Russia or
you're
do you
reading this.
do you not? The answer is
You're
no.
reading
You do not
everybody
side with
watching.
Russia. Is your
So
answer now
everybody
changed
watching
to
Amender
you do
stream,
not
I
side with
implore
Russia?
you- So everybody watching Amender stream, I implore you to rewind back to where I originally started and said I agree on some things, right? I said this
I
from the
heard
beginning.
that, but this is kind of
So-
why we were having the discussion. You initially
right.
were siding
So-
with Russia, and now you have changed it
Yeah.
to saying that I don't side with Russia. There's kind of
No,
a mix and back and forth
No, I
here.
said I side with
So
Russia
what is it?
on this.
Do you
Right,
side
like
with
on
Russia
the-
or no?
On the ICBM strike, yeah.
I think
Like I said,
you're crazy. I think you're crazy. I think you gotta really rethink foreign
Can
policy.
Can
I
you
think-
tell me how many casualties came from the ICBM strike?
What? A lot. It's war. Yeah. Your
Wait,
country
wait,
decided that it was,
the
or, I'm sorry,
ICBM
Russia decided that it was a good idea to do everything in their power to try to attack a sovereign nation. And yeah, there's consequences to that. 100%.
Well, I'm asking
Yes.
you how many people died in the most recent ICBM strike that happened this morning.
I don't know. I haven't looked at
I can tell you
too
it's
much of
very
the
low.
news.
It was a space programs facility. It was very low. Nobody was there. And they didn't do it as a message to kill people or to strike the Ukrainians at their heart. They tried to show not really Ukraine, but the Western world, they will not stand with aggression on their border. And when you say that they can go and attack other nations, I would agree with you if they were wanting to take all of Ukraine. But the most recent peace deals and the peace deals that Putin wants to draw up with other nations, he discussed with China, he discussed with Joe Biden, he discussed with other people, and even Zelensky at the very beginning of the war, he wants certain areas of Ukraine. He does not want all of Ukraine. He does not want Kyiv. He does not want certain areas. He just wants the areas that speak predominantly Russian. At least that's what we're led to believe.
That's BS.
Whether or not
That's
true
BS.
intention,
That's
whether-
BS.
whether-
That
whether
is
or
not what
they-
happened.
hold on.
That is
If I could
not what
finish,
happened
I'm gonna-
initially, Jixie. If
If
you
I
look,
could please
if
finish,
you're
if
able
I
to
could please
observe
finish.
if you're able to observe the live UA map, it did in fact show that there were multiple pipelines to Kiev that were trying to get cut off. When Putin realized that he couldn't take Kiev and that it was going to be basically impossible to do so, he focused on the east. Okay, that's
Yeah, so
that's the facts. Okay, you can't sit there and doubt these facts.
Yeah, so if
So
I could please-
I'm
if I
still
could just
stuck
please
on,
finish.
right? Again, this is diametric. Like Russia winning is diametrically opposed
Well,
to
yeah, so
your
Amanda, I
family
could
as well
explain-
as
I
your
could
own
explain-
interests. So I need
Amanda,
to
I could
understand
explain- I could
why.
explain
Why do
I-
you
I
why do
disagree
you why
with-
do
I
you
could-
play these Russia apologetics? Why?
I could explain why if you let me finish, right? So the problem is, and I'm going to finish where I was at. So if Russia really wanted to invade,
So you're
why
not
didn't
gonna
they-
address what I said.
If they really wanted to,
Amazing.
if they really wanted to stop Russia, NATO, they wanted to take over land. Why didn't they invade Finland? Finland just only recently became a NATO ally and joined NATO, right? They
Yeah, I
were a
wonder
very,
why.
very small nation, and compared military.
Yeah, I
Russia
wonder
would have
why.
had
I wonder
a
why
relatively
Finland joined
easy
NATO
time.
for some reason. They couldn't figure out
So,
why.
Well, no, it's because they're scared of Russian aggression. It's the same
Yeah, no
way.
shit. Of course.
Why did
Yes,
nations,
that's
hold
the
on, why
point
did-
of
why did
NATO.
Why did nations in Southeast Asia join the Warsaw Pact after we bombed Cambodia and Vietnam, right? It's like you can ask these questions all day, and it's because nations get scared. And nations getting scared doesn't necessarily mean one guy's the bad guy and one guy's not the bad guy, right? Geopolitics is
What?
very gray.
It is
You
if
cannot
my
look at
yeah no it is
geopolitics.
if my the country that I live in, right, unless if the country that I live in is like committing a genocide, I'm pretty much going to side with my country, because if my country is victorious in a conflict, that's pretty good, like as far as like economically speaking, as well as like overall well-being of people. right, in that country. Is there like a better situation where all parties involved would be better off? Yeah, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about war, where war has been enacted on a sovereign nation that did not ask for that war, right? And they were not aggressors in that. No, it is Russia that is the aggressor in this. Okay, you can't argue the facts.
I would argue the proposed plan by President-elect Donald Trump, Vladimir Putin, and other nations around the world, and what they're proposing, we ought follow that, and we ought strive for that.
What exactly is he proposing? Because last time I checked, when I asked, when I looked up what, and I kid you not, they asked him this question, like, what would you do with Putin if you got into power? What would you say? And Donald Trump said, right? Donald Trump said, he said, oh, well, here's what I would do. I will go up to him and I would say, you gotta settle. What the fuck does that mean? What does that mean? What do you mean? You gotta settle. Settle what? Dude, you're literally talking to the most Machiavellian dude ever. All he's going to do is stroke Donald Trump's ego, and then Donald Trump's going to be hook, line, and sinker, and then he's going to pull out of Ukraine, and then Russia's going to get their territory. That's what's going to happen, right? And then that's going to negatively impact. Negatively impact NATO for decades to come, and it will negatively impact the United States for decades to come because it harms our allies. That's the reality, okay? I'm sorry. I mean, we just disagree here.
I mean, you can say I disagree, but you haven't really been able to push back on any of my points. You just say, no, that's not true.
Dude, I literally did, because your argument was that you cared about the family more than anything, and you cared about your interests more than anything. Well, guess what, Jixie? You don't live in Russia. You don't live in Russia. You live in the United States. What is this argument? That's the pushback. If I cared about my family, oh my God, it's so stupid. It's so dumb.
To hit a metropolitan area and wipe out generations, right? I would want to strive for peace and strive for a peace deal.
Yeah, so probably not side with freaking Russia. How about that?
When I should say we should come to the table and give both sides a chance to speak to each other and come to a diplomatic solution.
How about don't side with despots? How about tell despots that they can't be a thing? Sorry.
And women and children.
I know, hot take, right? Hot take. No despotism. Hot take, right? We want to be in between the despot and the country that argues for democratic republics. Yeah, okay, bro.
Yeah, so just to finish,
Putin is a dictator. You're aware of that, right?
Yeah, but even when it
comes to we kind of want to listen to the dictator, right? Listen to both sides. Okay, bro.
Even during 9/11, we wanted to give diplomatic solutions to the Taliban instead of invading it immediately. We should strive for less war.
What about this other thing that's not related to what we're talking about?
Well, no, I'm giving you examples.
Yeah, it's called it's called a whataboutism, Jixie. It's a whataboutism. That's the problem. It's a whataboutism.
I mean, that was a direct strike on our democracy. I mean, 3,000 Americans died during an attack perpetrated by Al Qaeda, and the Taliban was hiding. Instead of the Taliban immediately, we gave the Taliban a diplomatic solution. Give us Osama bin Laden and his leadership, and we will not invade.
Again, this has nothing to do with the Russia conflict. So again, I'm gonna give you the last word, and then we're gonna move on, okay? Because this is just ridiculous.
I'm giving you the historical precedent.
Go ahead.
To make sense, and why we can do this, right? And so, if we could give the same diplomatic solutions to our enemies in the East, I think we would have we'd have genuine peace in our time. And instead of perpetuating war initially because war has been stricken, we ought to, and I think we should, strive for more peace among men. Because if we don't, we get things like World War II. We've been in a downward spiral since World War I. And if we continue down the path that we are on, we will end up nuking ourselves into oblivion because we want ATACMS to strike Moscow because Slava Ukraini. It makes no sense. And simply supporting direct strikes into Russia means you're supporting the deaths of innocent men, women, and children around the world because you're supporting NATO aggression in the region, which has led to this war. It's absolutely barbaric.
I'm sorry. Who started? Never. You know what? No, I'm going to let you have the last word. It's ridiculous. What do you think of this, Daniel?
Well, I mean, I kind of spaced out at the moment when Jixie said that the Minsk agreements were somehow handled by Gorbachev in
No, I said there was a
Yeah.
handshake agreement between Gorbachev and
Yeah,
the
there was
Minsk.
no handshake agreement in
There
the
was a
Minsk
handshake
protocols.
agreement
The
between
Minsk
Gorbachev. There was a
agreements.
handshake agreement. There
Yeah,
was
the
a handshake.
Minsk agreements were in 2014.
Yeah, that's
Gorbachev
why I
had
said the
nothing
Minsk
to do with
agreement-
it.
agreement with
So I don't
Gorbachev.
know exactly what you're talking about. It must be something
Yeah,
else
so
that you
that's why
didn't
I
reference.
separated them, Daniel. That's why I separated the two. I didn't say them synonymously. I said them separate. So when I said the handshake agreement with Gorbachev and the Minsk agreements, that would not say that the handshake agreement with Gorbachev was the same as the Minsk agreements, Daniel.
Well, you put them in the same phrase, so it's like
Well,
I'm
yeah,
sorry.
yeah,
It's like
because
you
they're
next
both
time
relevant.
maybe.
Because they're both
I mean,
relevant.
first of all, like Jixi is like when somebody else is speaking, you should just let them finish and then you can speak, because otherwise nobody's gonna understand people, right? If you're over talking like all the time, if you're putting those things in the same phrase and in making it look like they're like the same thing, then I'm sorry. It's like, and also like any handshake that it might have been with Gorbachev, it's a handshake. It's like I don't know exactly what he thought or anybody thought that could get from a handshake that wasn't recorded by anybody except some people that said, "Oh, there was a handshake." It's like irrelevant to the
Well,
whole
yeah,
thing.
but so Daniel, what do we have as men if not our word?
Well, I don't know. It's like, yeah, at least we should know if there was a word given, right? I mean, yes, I agree that we should keep our word if there's any record of that word being given.
Well, yeah, even
and
American
as we
leadership
stand right
acknowledges
now, I was
Yeah.
still responding to you, Jixi. It's like as we stand right now, we don't have any record, right, of that word ever being given by anybody.
Hold on.
I'm holding on.
I mean, hold on. I can. Get
Also, just so we're like very clear, it's like you keep saying peace, peace, peace. Like this peace is just something that we should get at any cost. And I'm sorry, but peace also means there's some justice, right? With the peace. The reason
I have a
the
question.
America.
So
I'm still
I have a
talking. I don't know if you noticed, Jixi. It's like I was still talking about this thing. So just wait a bit patiently, okay? Please, thank you. So when the U.S. actually gave time for a diplomatic solution to the Taliban's, it was because of justice, right? It's like what the Americans were seeking was justice, and justice by the Taliban's giving up Osama bin Laden, right?
And
They
his
didn't
leader.
get the justice, so they moved on. It's the same when it comes with any war, right? A war doesn't just mean peace at all costs. It doesn't matter who started the war. It doesn't matter what their goals are. It's like the other side to just accept peace just for people not to die. That's not how it usually works, right? Because we didn't do that with Hitler, and we didn't do that in the First World War either, right? Like what we wanted was
didn't,
actually
and we
justice,
didn't,
not
and
just peace,
that's
for
why
peace's
over
sake.
50 million people died in 20 years.
Well, I'm very happy you didn't
Yeah,
listen
yeah.
to
So
a
what
word
we
I
should,
said.
yeah. So what we should have done, Daniel, right, is we should have capitulated to the Nazis, right, and to just try to get people. Listen. You could take Poland, you could take France. Just
Wait,
be
I don't think
be
I
nice.
I don't think I said that.
No, I'm just
Diplomacy-
saying, like, if I followed your logic, that's what would follow, right?
Yeah,
if
no,
we were
I
in
don't-
World War II, you'd be saying something similar to that.
I don't think so. I mean, it's the same way. Like when Germany
Yeah, in
militarized
hindsight,
the
you
Rhine,
wouldn't say that,
instead of
right? 'Cause
Britain-
it's
when
stupid.
Germany militarized the Rhine in World War II, I think it would have been a lot different if instead of Britain just letting them do it and letting them pass, America came to the talking table and with their big boy stick and their large words instead of just sitting idly by and continuing to fund our allies, right? And we sat there and we actually had talked with Hitler, and eventually, if we could not talk him down, do the same thing we've done before. And if we cannot try diplomacy, we go.
Well, to be
straight
fair, we
war.
didn't even want to be involved in World War II. And then, of course, but
No,
that's beside the point. The point that I'm trying to make is that we don't
Well, we did
capitulate to
land.
bullies. We shouldn't capitulate to Putin, and we shouldn't let him get what he wants, because he has no reason to to stop
Amender.
his desire of conquest. Because again, we're talking about a person who is they're effectively, as far as I'm concerned, a Machiavellian who is desperate for power. Right. That's what appears to be the case. So again, Jixi, I will give you the last word, and then we're going to move on.
Yeah. So I mean, at the end of the day, when we look at these, we cannot look at them as bullies, as political leaders that hold a lot of power. We cannot throw them around and refer to them as bullies, because once we do that, we throw all our respect for them out the window. And no matter how much of a dictatorship someone runs, we must respect them and their authority, because they are powerful. At the end of the day, that's like if Putin said you're a dumb bully to Joe Biden, you'd be like, wow, he's not respecting Joe Biden. Joe Biden can nuke him. right? At the end of the day, this is a nuclear power, and we must proceed with caution with these people. And at the end of the day, Amender, I do hope one day you do more research on this conflict instead of just saying that we cannot submit to despots or to dictatorship. Because surprisingly, you asked me to come to this with a view on reality, and the view on reality is that this conflict is not black and white; it is gray. And with that, I will be stepping down. Thank you for the talk.
Yep.
Well, we should actually respect Hitler because he was like a leader of a country, and we can't just disrespect people and call them.
If they have a lot of
what they
power,
are.
you got to respect them, right?
Yeah, because you have to respect them. Yes, obviously. Yeah, that's it's an amazing take, but it's not
crazy.
surprising coming from him.
Crazy. Oh boy. My show. It looks like we have somebody who would like to speak. We have Gradual Harbor 79 who would like to speak. We're going to bring in Gradual Harbor 79. You're being invited.
All right.
How are you doing?
I would like to say that
How old are you?
with 15.
Sorry, can't have you here. It's an 18 plus discussion, unfortunately.
Discussion?
Yeah,
Alright,
I can't.
all right.
Sorry, nothing against you. I
All right, it's fine.
I apologize.
back.
Just trust me. The reason why is it's really more for you than it is for me. I could totally invite people. And here's the thing, right? When I was your age, I had terrible takes. I had some of the worst takes that you can imagine. And I would hate those takes to be immortalized on the internet for anybody to watch whenever they want. Okay? I am protecting you from yourself. Trust me. It's in your benefit. Anyway, so it looks like Kayam says, I believe the guy said specifically a nuclear power. It's a straw man to twist his word to apply Germany to the same logic. Okay. Though, I mean, there was no nuclear power, right, at the time, other than the United States. But even if you assume that there is no nuclear power, right, as in nobody got the bomb, you don't capitulate to Hitler because he's powerful. That's stupid, right? You fight Hitler because Hitler's in the wrong, right? I feel that Russia is in the wrong by invading a sovereign country just because they wanted to join NATO.
No, it wasn't even that. I mean, the fact that they wanted to join NATO, maybe, but even if they wanted to join NATO, so what? Everybody has sovereignty.
I mean, they did the same
Ukraine
thing
was a sovereign
to
state.
Georgia as well. You know, same exact problem, right? Except the United States did nothing to Georgia, did nothing for Georgia because obviously it didn't matter to the United States, right? Because they weren't going to join NATO. You know, so in this case, it does matter.
Further away from Europe.
Yes. So, in other news, Daniel, have you heard that Matt Gaetz stepped down?
Step down from what? Drug-induced orgies, or he probably didn't step down from that.
I mean, apparently there was a minor involved. There's a minor involved.
I mean, he was on the investigation.
He started getting investigated, and then he steps down voluntarily, and he's just like, "Hey, listen, you don't got to investigate me anymore."
That's not how it should work, though, right? I mean.
Well, I hope it doesn't. I hope it doesn't work that way, right? I hope that the Justice Department actually does investigate him, even though he stepped down, right? Because that would be the lawful thing to do, right? And it's like the fact he's just like saying like this ridiculous thing, like, oh, I'm just gonna step down, now that I'm getting investigated. And he's like, oh, okay, is the investigation over? It's kind of stupid.
Yeah. I mean, it is what it is. It's not surprising me at all. It's like I'm seeing all these people that are being nominated for various positions in the Trump administration. Is just absolutely bonkers. I don't know how these things are going to go. Like, to be very frank with you, but like the people that he's putting forward, they're just like insane people overall.
Yeah.
So I don't know exactly how it's going to shape up, but it doesn't look good. There's a lot of neocons, like warmongers, And it's funny because everybody kept saying, it's like, oh my God, Trump is so anti-war, so anti-war. And now he's literally just putting warmonger neocons in like a lot of
Mhm.
positions that could bring a lot of death and destruction and war. I'm really pretty sure that the drone program that was kind of like wrecked under Biden is going to resume at full force. So
Mhm.
yeah, a lot
I
of
mean,
people
I
are
think
going to
they're
die
they're
through that.
what they're trying to do is, as far, I mean, if I had to speculate, is cause as much damage to Russia, so that way Russia has a difficult time recovering, even under a Trump presidency, which will likely give him, give Russia exactly what they want, right? I think that's what is happening, but I could be wrong about that.
Yeah, I mean, look, defeating Russia in Ukraine, I don't know, it's pretty hard. You need a lot of things to defeat Russia. Russia is very good at handling the manpower, and the way Russia conducts its wars is actually, pretty efficient in a way. So I don't know if there's time to do anything to like cut Russia's legs in this conflict.
Mhm.
But I am pretty sure that Trump is just going to cater
Give
to,
them exactly what they
Russia's every
want.
need.
Yeah, like why not?
Yeah, and the thing
Right?
is, Ukraine is not going
I mean,
to
that's what
back
people
down.
voted
I think
for,
Ukraine is
right? They're
backing
going to
down.
vote for
Yeah.
that, right? So it's like, why would it be any different? Like it's just going to be that way. And it's like, to me, I'm just like, no, it should not be that way. But then again, Donald Trump doesn't understand foreign policy, nor does he listen to his experts regarding foreign policy. So it's like, why would I, assume he's going to do anything that is intelligence foreign policy wise? Like, take for example, like probably his best foreign policy decision was what he was dealing with North Korea, where he managed to reduce the aggressions that were coming from North Korea with their nuclear program, right? Huge, very scary to the United States, as well as the allies of the United States. Both South Korea and Japan are, they're right next to it. And so here's the thing, though, right? One of the things that the expert told him was, don't just go there on your own talking to him. No, bring Xi Jinping. And he was like, why? Why would I bring Xi Jinping? And he says, well, because Xi Jinping is the entire economy of North Korea. And Xi Jinping, by the way, this was at the time during that this was happening. Xi Jinping was actually on the United States side, right? We weren't involved in trade wars with them at the time. And so by bringing in Xi Jinping into direct negotiations, we would have likely have gotten an even better outcome, right? Because it's one thing to negotiate with an ally. It's another thing to negotiate with an ally with a noose around their neck, right? That's the difference. Okay. Like obviously you're going to get better results. This is the thing though, right? You're listening to a foreign policy expert, and Donald Trump didn't want to listen to a foreign policy expert. They just wanted to bring in, he just wanted to bring in himself and talk mano y mano, right? And the art of the deal and just dumb things like that, right? This is what I'm talking about. This is the problem, right? And that's the best case scenario that Donald Trump managed to pull off, right? There were much worse situations where he ended up not listening to experts and causing a whole bunch of problems. Anyway.
But it's good, Amender. There's gonna be no experts this time. It's all
yeah,
good.
Now it's just sycophants.
Exactly. We fixed it.
All right. So it looks like we got somebody who would like to join. So we're going to bring in Costa. Let's see here.
Hello?
Costa, you are being invited to speak. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. What did you want to talk about?
Well, I heard that you're pro-abortion.
Yes,
I am
very pro-abortion.
very anti-abortion.
Ooh, let's
so
hear
I
it.
just
Okay.
kind of I want to know your stance first. Like why you think what you do.
Okay. Well, it's a little complicated and maybe a little long. If you're okay with listening to me on it, I don't mind just telling you how I feel about it. Actually, you know what? Even better, I wrote about it. Give me a moment. Let me go get it. It's on my musings. Let me pull up my Gmail. Hold on. Where's my Google Drive? Sorry, just give me a quick second.
That's fine.
I just want to make sure also that it is encompassing, because I may need to update it, because if it's not encompassing, I won't read it and I'll just go off the seat of my cuff. But hold on a sec. Yeah, this is a little old, so I'm probably going to just go off the seat of my cuff. Okay, yeah. So there's multiple aspects to this. One thing that I like to think about is exactly what we're talking about is not, for example, at what point should we apply moral consideration to the fetus. Hold on a second.
So like you mean like, what do you mean moral? Like if it's like when it's a
yeah, when it's viable.
Human or
Yeah.
okay.
Hold on, just give me a sec.
That's fine.
Cat took my bottle cap. Yeah, so what I don't necessarily want to talk about that, because I don't think that it's actually relevant to the abortion discussion, because what we're talking about is not whether or not, like, you know, this fetus should or should not live. We're talking about whether or not that a politician anywhere between 100 to 1,000 miles away can decide whether or not that a person has to undergo a life-threatening possibility, right? A life-threatening event in their life, right?
Okay, so you said that it like doesn't matter like how far along they are in the womb. Is that
no?
what
I'm
you
saying
said?
it's not relevant, right? That portion is not relevant, because the main argument that the Republican makes, and pro-lifers make, is that a politician or a Supreme Court representative 100 to 1,000 miles away has a right to tell the mother whether or not that they must go through a life-altering decision and potentially harm themselves, right? They could actually die. It's a life-threatening situation. All pregnancies, every single one of them, are potentially life-threatening.
It is life-threatening, but it rarely happens. I mean, that's
That's beside the point.
rare.
It is. Here's the problem, right? Regarding this life-threatening argument, is that you don't actually know it's life-threatening until it's happening, right? And so, to me, I think of, okay, well, if it is potentially life-threatening, or it could be in the future, that ought be up to the person who's going to undergo that risk, right? That's not different for anything, right? What we do is that when there is an amount of risk to anything, we understand that the person understands that risk, and then they're able to address that risk by their own choice.
Yes, but the time was to decide that was when you're conceiving the child. It shouldn't be, okay, now I went through this, I had my fun, now I'm going to say, okay, I'm just going to kill this baby because I don't want to have it.
Wait, is your... Hold on a sec. Are you arguing in favor of retribution of the child? You want to use the child as retribution to the mother?
What do you mean retribution?
Consequence. Right? What you just said, right? What you just implied is that, well, they had sex, therefore they have to deal with the consequence of having the child, right? You are using children as consequence.
No, children is not a consequence. I'm saying that
Then why did you word it that way?
I didn't mean to word it as if a child was a consequence.
Cool.
I'm
So
saying
we're
that
not using the child as retribution. Good. So then we go back to the same question. Why should a politician 100 to 1,000 miles away make the decision on behalf of the person who undergoes the life-threatening condition?
But that's not. I'm saying that the woman who is the woman is making the decision.
Wait. But no. That's not necessarily the case, right? Because what you are making the argument is that it's the politician that has to make it. I'm making the argument it ought to be up to the woman's choice.
Yes, it is up to the woman's choice. It is
okay. So you're pro-choice.
If they would just never conceive a child, then it wouldn't be an issue.
Okay, so then you're saying that there's something wrong with them having sex, and then because they had sex, they ought receive retribution via the child.
No, I'm saying if you're having sex, you should be ready to have a child. Because
do you understand that you can have sex and reasonably not have a child?
Yeah, you can, but it
okay.
happens
So
a lot,
do you think you could I don't know, wear a condom? You think you could take morning after pills? Do you think that well, it's pretty high probability, right? It's like 99.99 whatever, right? It's a very high probability, right? Something as cheap as condoms. Okay, condoms break, right? Stuff happens, life gets in the way. Sometimes you get sexually assaulted, right? Those are rare conditions, but that happens, right? Again, that comes down to a decision that needs to be made at the level of the mother, right? But that's not your argument. Your argument is that it ought be up to a politician 100 to 1,000 miles away. I need you to explain to me why.
So are you saying that it should be the woman's choice to kill the baby that they're having?
Yes, because they're the ones that have to undergo, and by the way, I wouldn't call it a baby. I would call it a fetus, more accurately.
A fetus
and then
is
the
a
second
baby.
thing, no, that's not. There's a level of viability concern, right? A baby is viable on its own. A fetus isn't necessarily viable on its own. It's also a fetus can literally be a clump of cells where it's not really a baby. But that's beside the point. This is why I don't want to get into the argument regarding at what point do we care about the child, right? Because I don't think we're at that level, right? The question is whether or not that a politician should make the decision, or should the mother make the decision. To me, it's obvious. The mother obviously needs to make the decision.
But you said that a fetus isn't a baby. The Latin root of
nope,
fetus
I'm not
is
arguing
little
this.
human.
I'm not arguing this. I need you to justify why a politician 100 to 1,000 miles away has the right to make the decision. Do not talk about the viability of the child. Do not talk about the child or any of that. That's irrelevant to the discussion.
You just said that it was a child. So why would you be
It
allowed
is
to kill
irrelevant to the discussion. That is irrelevant to the discussion.
Irrelevant.
No, because
say
the
that
argument
murder-
is here's the thing, right? I understand that you yourself think that. Great, amazing, right? I'm sure if you ever get a woman pregnant, right, and then they agree with you and they accept, that's a pro-choice argument, right? You're not making the argument from a personal level. You're making the argument that a politician 100 to 1,000 miles away should take away the rights of women and then force them to undergo this procedure. Right? They cannot have this medical procedure because they have to get it. Right? And I need to know why. What is the underlying concern? Why should the politician be the decision maker and not the mother?
But the politician, unless it's rape, the politician is not the deciding factor. The woman,
the politician is the deciding factor, right? Because like a woman conceiving the baby, I got news for you, man. Most women don't go out of their way to get an abortion, right? A lot of the times what they do is they just have the baby. That's kind of what they do. Okay. But here's the thing, right? That's a case by case scenario. That's, oh hell, this will be amazing. Okay. You think the politician 1,000 miles away should be the deciding factor? I don't. So then I'm going to ask you this, right? You have a 15-year-old. 15-year-olds are stupid. They're really stupid. Okay, they don't understand anything. Okay, their prefrontal cortex is not developed enough to be able to understand consequences for their actions. Okay, and you, right? The girl who's 15 decides to have sex. Why? Because they're horny teenagers. Horny teenagers do this. Okay, it's not uncommon. Okay, they go and then they have sex, and then they end up pregnant. Right? Should they be forced to have a child based on a
they
politician?
should have the child.
You're out of your freaking mind. You're out of your mind.
They
You're out of your mind.
to have.
You're out of your mind.
Chose to have sex to the
What?
conceive
No.
the child. How does that mean
No. Hold on. What does it mean to choose? Do you think that? Hold on. Let me ask you this. If I drug you, right? I give you a drug that impairs your judgment, and I make you sign a contract to give me $100,000. Do you think that contract is valid?
No, because you drugged me.
Yeah, because it's under duress, right? I'm putting you under duress.
But
in
does
this
that
instance.
contract have a person's life in hand?
Hold on. This is great, right? I believe that children are not consenting adults. And the reason why I believe that they're not consenting adults is because they don't understand the consequences of their actions. What they are doing is that they are effectively entering into contract under duress, unless, of course, right, there's another person who's under duress, such as another person who's their age, right? 15-year-old is getting freaky with another 15-year-old. Okay.
Okay.
So I'm asking you, right? They don't understand the consequences of their actions, but you're saying that they should experience the consequences, even though that they are effectively entering into a contract under duress.
Yeah, just like if say I'm the 15-year-old, I have a bedtime and I can't use my phone past that bedtime. Okay, I say okay, I'm not going to use it. But then what happens when I use my phone past that bedtime? I have a consequence that I don't have my phone anymore.
How old are you?
Just like if I'm 19.
Okay. All right. I don't think you understand my argument. Okay. You said that the contract, right? The $100,000 contract. What do you think is more consequential, right? A baby or $100,000 loan?
A baby's going to cost more.
Oh, hell yeah. A lot more than 100,000
Yeah.
for sure. Right. And so here's the thing, right? You don't agree that I should be able to enter a person into a $100,000 loan, but you think that a person should be forced to enter in through a contract, even though that they are not a reasoning, consenting individual.
Those are just disproportionate. I mean,
No.
Okay.
You're right. It is disproportionate against your favor because you just admitted that the child is actually costs more than 100,000.
But when you go back to it, what you said doesn't matter. That it doesn't matter if it's a human or not. It does matter because you can't kill a human. I would be fine with it if it wasn't a human, but it is, so you can't just kill it.
Again,
that is
we're not
really
discussing
important.
that. I'm stuck on, right?
But
because
how
again,
are we gonna
because
have this conversation if we don't know
because you're talking about it at an individual level. And in which case we can discuss our own individual ideas as to like what we consider to be like of moral consideration, right? But that's not the question, right? Because a pro-choice argument allows you to make a pro-life decision, right? Like you personally don't have to get an abortion. I'm sorry, your significant other does not have to get an abortion just because abortions are allowed. You can decide that I don't want to get an abortion and I will take care of the child. Great. That's awesome on you, right? Your argument isn't that. Your argument is a politician 100 to 1,000 miles away should be able to force women to undergo a potentially life-threatening condition. Okay. And so I'm asking you, why?
Because I'm saying that the politician is not the deciding factor. It's the woman that has the baby, and unless it's a small,
that's a personal argument.
What? But how can we not have that argument? That is an important.
You're the one that is making the anti-abortion argument. You're literally saying that other people must be compelled by law, by force, to be forced to have a baby. right? Including at the
Because
level of a 15-year-old who is not a consenting adult. Okay. And so I'm
Because-
asking you very simply, right? Why should a politician 100 to 1,000 miles away be the deciding factor and not the mother?
Because a politician should be able to tell you that you can't kill a baby.
Okay, bro. Well, I don't consider it to be a baby, but that's beside the
But
point.
exactly, this
right?
is- this is the
I think the
conversation
person.
we need to have.
Well, no, but here's the thing, right? What you just tacitly told me, right? At least the way that translates in my head is that the politician should tell the mother, a person, that they must undergo a potentially life-threatening condition to term. Right?
Yes,
they
you
must
should.
undergo that under penalty of law. And I think that is beyond immoral. That is beyond
Because
immoral.
You should be able to have that, because if you don't, you're ending another's life.
Okay. Well, again, you're saying under the basis of this politician. And again, you're attributing that the child's life is worth more than the mother. I got news for you. The mother's paying taxes. That child didn't do shit.
So just because the baby isn't born yet, that means they matter less?
Yes. Literally, that's exactly
they-
how that works. Yes.
They matter. So a
Yes, they matter
1-year-old
less.
matters less than a 20-year-old.
Yes, yes, because if you abort the fetus, right, the 20-year-old can try again. The fetus has to wait 15 plus years, okay, to be able to do anything.
fetus is
Okay, the
dead.
fetus
The
is
fetus can't
basically
try
useless. Right? No, I'm saying at the moment the fetus is useless. This is the difference between whether, like, let me ask you this, right? If you stepped on a seed, right, is that the same thing as chopping down a 200-year-old tree?
No, it could be a 200.
No, it's not, right? Because obviously one of them went through like a lot, and then the other one and like can make billions and billions of seeds, and the other one is just, I don't know, a seed, right? We're talking about a fetus, not a mother. A mother can have more fetuses, right? But a fetus can't make more babies unless, one, they're a female, and then number two, that they have grown a significant amount of time and then required a ridiculous amount of energy. So yeah, I kind of do value the mother a lot more than the fetus. And by the way, just so you know, the mother can live without the fetus can't live without the mother. So yeah,
so
the mother inherently is worth more.
A person on life support, they can't live without help. That means they matter less.
We're not even talking about that because, again, you're still making the argument that
we are
a
talking about that.
politician 100 to 1,000 miles away has the right to tell people that they must undergo this potentially life-threatening condition. That is insane to me.
Go back to what you just said. You just said that a person matters less if they can't handle, if a person on life support, they matter less than an average person.
I'm saying that's
just
irrelevant.
ridiculous.
That's irrelevant, right? Because
No, but
again,
you
I'm
just
stuck
made
on the
that point.
no. Because my argument is the problem with the politician, right? That's the problem, right? See, here's the thing, right? You can make your argument all day long regarding what matters, what doesn't matter. That's tacitly a pro-choice argument because you're saying, me, myself, I believe this. Great, amazing. I'm glad you like that, right? There's nothing wrong with that, right? That's your personal decision, but that's not your
believe
argument.
that
Your
people should
argument
have
is
the right to
that
live.
you should force women. No. Here's the thing: you don't believe in the right to live, right? Because you didn't give a crap about the mother, right? Because I got news for you: every single
because the
pregnancy,
mother chose to
stop.
have sex.
Every single pregnancy is potentially life-threatening. Every single pregnancy, okay?
Yeah,
Every
potentially.
single pregnancy. Let
Riding
me
my
ask you
bike
this:
is
did you
potentially life-threatening.
let's say, right, you get into a job, and you get into, I don't know, window cleaning skyscrapers. Okay, the guy who's window cleaning a skyscraper falls to his death. Do you go, well, he chose that job, so it's his fault?
That is, you need to have money to. You just made the point that I don't even know what.
You don't understand this
just
train of logic.
Totally disproportional.
Well, but here's the thing, right? I still need to hear the argument as to why a politician 100 to 1,000 miles away can force women to undergo a life-threatening condition, right? I need to really drive home this fact. The fact is that all pregnancies are potentially life-threatening. Every single one of them. None of them are perfectly clean, perfectly healthy. There's always complications, right? And all sorts of things can happen that can go from perfectly healthy to super life-threatening within days,
Yes.
within minutes.
Yes, and
that
you
could
have
be
to
the
think
case.
about that when you're conceiving the child.
No, but here's the thing, right? That should be up to the mother to make that decision,
Yes,
not a politician 100,000
exactly.
100 miles away.
No.
I'm sorry.
Wait. Okay, can I make a point? You just said it's up to the mother. It's up to the mother when they're conceiving the child. They can say, no, I don't want to do this. I'm not gonna have sex because I don't want to have a child. If you don't want to have the child, you shouldn't have sex.
You already agreed that you don't believe in in retribution on basis of forcing them to have a child because they decided to have sex.
But
right?
you totally
same
just ignored
same
my point.
reason same reason why you think it's ridiculous to blame window cleaners for picking that job, and that's why they died. Right? We have checks and balances to prevent the problem from occurring. But then again, that's a pro-choice argument, isn't it?
You totally just ignored my point.
I want to hear the argument why a politician 100 to 1,000 miles away should be able to
I'm saying that it's not it doesn't even come close to the politician, because if you
Really?
have the choice to conceive a child, if you don't want
What's
to have a
pro-life
child,
mean?
you should.
Explain pro-life to me. How's that work?
Pro-life is I'm pro-life. I don't want
Really?
lives being
What about the
lost.
mother? What about the life of the mother?
You made that choice when you had sex. You said, okay.
Okay, so
I
so
know,
so you're
I know
using the
that these-
retribution of the child. I'm still stuck on that.
But you use the rest.
No, I didn't. No, I didn't. I literally have said it should be up to the mother to make that decision for themselves. That is not using the child as
consequence-
retribution. That's me saying,
The-
oh, in case you fucked up, hey, you can actually fix your life by getting an abortion. Right? That's literally me removing their consequence.
That's pretty messed up. Fixing your life to destroy another life.
What? No, because here's the thing,
Destroying
right?
another
The
life
mother
just to
can
fix
try
yours?
again. I don't think that baby is going to be doing a very good job if they're born and their mother is freaking 15. They're not even. They're a child themselves.
what?
They don't know how to
Did you know
take care
there's
of
more-
kids.
did
You
you
know
know
what would
there's more
help
people
if they
sign up
went
for
to
adoption than
college,
abortion?
and then when they went to college, they have a nice degree, and now that they have a nice degree and they have a nice job where they got a nice salary, now they could choose to have a child. But that's a pro-choice
You know, there's-
argument, isn't it?
Do you know there's more people signed up to have adoption than there is abortion?
Okay.
So
and?
if everybody wouldn't have an abortion, and they have the baby and put the baby up for adoption,
That's still life-threatening to the mother. That needs to be up to the decision of the mother.
Percentile.
No, it's not a tiny percentile. That's the problem.
Guess what?
Every single pregnancy
is. Are you saying that- are you
potentially
saying that is a
life-threatening.
large-
every single one of them. You actually are
Potentially, but
not
not
aware
every single-
that it is life-threatening until it's life-threatening. So yes, again, that needs to be a decision that is made into the on behalf of the mother. Let me ask you this. You need to get from point A to point B, go to work, right? And you get into, I don't know, somebody shows up in your to your doorstep to take you from point A to point B. He says he's going to take you every single day, and he sends you in a total death machine, right? You look at this car, right? And it's bad. I mean, it's rickety. It doesn't have any seat belts. I mean, the tail lights are out. You're just like, if I hop in this thing, I'm dead, right? Do you think like a politician should force you to get in that car, or do you think you should have the choice?
What does that have to do anything with abortion?
Well, no, it doesn't. It's an analogy, right? So I'm asking
So why
you.
would you even make that analogy if it doesn't have
I'm
to
making
have
the
anything to do-
analogy because I'm the one making the argument that it should be up to the person that wants to initiate the risk, right? And you're making the argument
Yes.
that they
And no.
they should be forced to initiate the risk. So yeah,
No,
should
and
you
guess
get
what?
into the
Just
rickety
like-
car?
Just like
Should you
just
get
like
into the
when
rickety
they're,
car?
They're deciding to get
Should
into
you have
the
a
rickety
choice?
car. They're deciding to
Should
have
you have a
sex.
choice to
No,
get
I
into the
shouldn't have
rickety
sex.
car?
I don't want to have a baby. No, I shouldn't get into that car because it looks rickety. I'm saying that
right,
you're
cool.
exactly making my point now.
So then you should.
That
So then you should have the choice as to whether or not that you want to go undergo a potentially life-threatening condition.
You choose that when you choose to have sex.
Not necessarily. Sometimes you decide to wear a condom and condom break. Sometimes you wear the morning you drink.
Yes.
You're taking the morning after pill and
No,
you miss
wait.
a pill. It
Wait, can I make a
happens,
point, please?
right?
Can I
Life
make a point?
happens.
You just said that there is always a chance that something might go wrong. So guess what? If you never have sex, then you don't even go through those chances. Those chances are irrelevant. So guess what? If you don't
Except
have
for rape,
sex,
right?
then except for rape, yes.
Okay, so should a person be forced to have a child if they were raped?
No, because another person's wrongdoing shouldn't.
So
two
why
wrongs
is it
don't make a
different
right.
if it's potentially life-threatening? All pregnancies are potentially life-threatening. You're forcing politicians to write a bill that then forces every single person, every single female, that they are forced to have a child. Why?
Because you choose to have sex, unless it's rape.
You're
you choose
using.
to have sex.
We're still stuck on the child retribution thing. It's gross.
Are you saying you don't choose to have sex?
What? No, you do choose to have sex. I just don't want to use
Exactly.
a baby as
Wait, no.
retribution. That's weird.
You just said you choose to have sex. So then, if you choose, you know that okay, this could lead to me having a baby. So if you never have sex in the first place, you don't have to worry about having a baby.
Yeah, except when they're raped. But even so, it's still
exactly.
even if you choose, you didn't choose that to be potentially life-threatening, right? And because every
you
single
did. You said,
pregnancy
okay.
is potentially life-threatening, really
Exactly.
we need to consider whether or not that a politician 100 to 1,000 miles away should have that decision. Right, I disagree. I think that should be up to every individual in their own individual needs. Right, you're literally arguing that 15-year-olds have to carry babies to term. That's freaking gross, dude.
Yes, because 15-year-olds can't kill a baby.
Yeah,
you
and
can't
15-year-olds
murder just 'cause
can't
they're 15.
consent.
Yeah, if it's a 15-year-old that has
You
sex
literally
with another
said that
15-year-old,
15-year-olds can have babies. Did you said is that's that they are forced? They ought be forced to have a child on the merit of a politician 100 to 1,000 miles away. But
they're forced to not kill another baby.
But a 15-year-old is not a consenting adult, right?
No, they are not. They're 15.
Okay, yeah. So then it's fair to say that they don't actually understand the consequences of their actions, entering into a contract under duress.
Just because I don't
So
understand.
why are you okay with 15-year-olds having babies?
Because you can't kill someone.
What again? Okay, all right. I mean, if you want, we can go ahead and go over that. But we're stuck on a politician currently has a right
Yes, let's
to
go over
arbitrarily
that.
tell that. Sure. So we'll go over the 20. Okay. So the way that I determine this, at what point it matters, is that I consider the what it means that I care about humans. And there's a couple of thought experiments that I like to think of when I think about, like, at what point do I care about humans and I stop caring about humans. One experiment is if you can just think about if I took your brain and I managed to magically transplant it into a robot, right? And let's say like the robot can speak and move and all that stuff. What do I care about? Do I care about the dead husk that's on the floor, or do I care about the brain robot? I think you would come to the same conclusion, is that you would probably care about the brain robot, right? Because that's the thing that's, effectively is establishing a human experience, right? A human consciousness.
You shouldn't be dismembering a person to put it in a robot.
Freaking God. It's just a thought experiment, right?
Okay,
I'm saying if I did, right, which one would I care about, right? And it's the robot, okay? And so if it is the robot, then there's something about that robot that makes me go, I care about that versus the other thing. And the thing that I could think about is that it's the conscious experience, right? Being able to, as a human, be consciously aware and react to stuff. And so this is also true regarding like people who, let's say, become a vegetable. If they become a vegetable, they're no longer effectively consciously experiencing, right? And it's situations like that, if they're like on life support, that it's perfectly appropriate to pull the plug, right? Because at that point, they're not really consciously experiencing, and so we stop caring. And then, so finally, I look at like in terms of the fetus, and the fetus in terms of the brainstem connection, it doesn't really actually happen till roughly about 20 weeks or so. And so basically anywhere between 1 to 20 weeks, literally Yeetus the fetus, have fun. Like it's literally doesn't matter.
What?
After 25 weeks, it becomes abortions are actually not even abortions at that point. The abortion at 25 weeks just becomes inducing birth, right? It's a cesarean section or it's a birth, right? They don't generally do late term abortions unless if there's something like really seriously life threatening to the mother. So I don't have a hard cutoff point at 20, but obviously, like in the instances of the life threatening of the mother, I'm perfectly okay with past 20. What I'm saying is at 20, a fetus is under moral consideration, right? That they ought be considered but before that, I don't care. Yeetus the fetus. I don't care. It's
Before that,
it's
they
nothing
should be
to me.
considered.
No, not at all. No.
They should. Why
No,
not?
Because they are not capable of conscious experience. They do not
So
have that. Literally, just
people on life support.
I literally go. What?
Sir, say what you're saying.
When I said conscious experience, I do not mean raw consciousness. Okay, I'm saying that you are experiencing the surroundings. Okay, if somebody is unconscious, they have the potential, the future potential of their conscious experience as they did before. Okay, so somebody that we care about, let's say, for example, if a person is not possible to consciously experience in the future, then we stop caring. And it's the same thing with if they do not have the conscious experience before, we stop caring. So I have the up for moral consideration after 20 weeks, but before that, Yeetus the fetus, there shouldn't be any restrictions whatsoever.
Just like if I'm knocked out, I'm not consciously experiencing anything. Doesn't mean
no,
you
you're
should be able to kill
unconscious,
me.
but you could absolutely be
Exactly, I'm
consciously
unconscious.
experiencing, right? You could be.
How? If I'm
Well, and
unconscious,
you could also
how
be
can I be
consciously
conscious?
experiencing in the future, right? Because like, unless if you're a vegetable,
Yes.
you're not up
no,
for
no,
grabs.
wait, exactly. You can be consciously experiencing in the future, just like how the baby
as
can,
well as
but
before.
not when
That's
you
the
decide to
difference.
kill it.
That's the difference. You were consciously experiencing before, as you would in the future, but that's not the case for the fetus.
So if I have short-term memory and everything that happens before, and then I get knocked out, I don't remember what happens before, so I should be able to be killed.
What?
You're saying that if you haven't previously consciously like experienced something, then you shouldn't matter. You should be able to.
Yeah, you don't
to kill
exist.
him.
You literally don't exist.
So if I get knocked out, a lot of things happen. If people get concussions, a lot of people don't remember the stuff that happened before. That
No, you
they don't
consciously
matter.
experienced before. What do you mean?
But
You were
You have no
consciously
recollection of that.
Hold on. Were you? That doesn't matter. Were you playing baseball prior to getting the concussion? Yeah. Okay. Now that you have a concussion and you're like unconscious or whatever, okay, you were consciously experiencing before, and we do an MRI scan. We see you're going to consciously experience in the future. Yeah, you're definitely up for moral consideration. Otherwise, Yeetus the fetus, bro.
But you're killing a baby just because they don't have
you
consciousness.
asked for specifically, and secondly, it's not a baby, it's a fetus, right? And I understand that you want to bring up
Fetus.
the Latin term, right? I'm referring to a completely unborn, developing human, which we call a fetus.
A human that is a 1-year-old is still developing. A 15-year-old is still developing.
Yeah, that's correct.
Their brain
Sure.
isn't fully developed, so you should be able to kill them just because they're not.
When did I
developed?
say that?
You just said that yes, a 15-year-old isn't developed, just like a fetus.
A 1-year-old
is
is
not
consciously
developed.
experiencing. And so is a 5-year-old, so are all of these people who are also developing. They're also consciously
a
experiencing.
fetus in
So
the
I go
womb
back
is
to the same
consciously
problem.
experiencing.
They're consciously... No, they're not. No. Their spinal cord isn't even connected to their brain until 20 weeks, which means they are not consciously experiencing garbage, right? They're developing. There's no conscious experience whatever.
So you think that after 20 weeks, abortion should be illegal?
No. I think that it should be up for moral consideration to the fetus, right? I'm perfectly okay with certain restrictions regarding abortions past 20 weeks, and then at the 25 mark, the fetus is now viable. They can now you can actually get them out of the womb, and it would just be an induced abortion at then.
Okay, so if I said no abortions after 20 weeks, you'd be fine with that?
No, because there's it just means there's moral consideration, right? There's no
So
hard
what would
line.
you say after 20 weeks? What should be allowed? What shouldn't be allowed?
I wouldn't be against a law that says you can't just abort at 20 weeks, but unless if like the mother's life is at stake in like cases of rape or incest. Sure, I wouldn't be against that, right? And that should be applied at a federal level.
Well, no, I don't think that you should be able to have an abortion just because you got raped.
You literally argued the exact opposite of that.
When?
Earlier,
I
in this discussion.
I said that you should not be able to kill a baby even if
you're raped?
Even if you're raped.
You're out of your freaking mind, dude. You're out of your mind.
So if two wrongs don't make
gross.
it right, would you agree? Two wrongs don't make it right, would you agree?
You're out of your mind. I'm not even addressing that. I don't want to address it. I really don't. It's gross.
No, you have to address this. This matters a lot if you were talking about rape.
What? The mother has to risk their life because they got raped?
Yes, because you are having a baby.
You're a psycho. You're a psycho.
For saying that you can't murder a baby?
What? This is ridiculous. I'm pointing out, right, that the mother has to risk their life to as a victim.
But most times they do not have to risk their life.
No, that's not the case. That is the case for every
exactly
single pregnancy. The only reason why the mortality rate is so low is because we have hospitals, right? But that costs thousands of dollars, but even then, it's still life-threatening. You actually don't know if it's life-threatening until it happens. Okay, so yes, again, you are in effect forcing a victim to undergo a life-threatening condition. You are out of your mind. Right? Okay, I just want to be clear, right?
Gift.
Are you oh my God. Are you religious? Are you religious? Are you
Yes,
Christian?
I am religious.
I swear to God.
Yes.
All right, get off. I'm done. Done. Dude, what am I going to do? Hold on. Do you think the Bible is anti-abortion?
Obviously,
Is the Bible anti-abortion?
In the Bible. I don't know. I haven't researched it, but I know it
Whoa.
does.
You probably should read it because I read it. I read that.
Thou shalt not murder.
Oh, wow, good one. Wow, you read, what was that, the 5th commandment? You want to keep reading there, buddy?
What does it say? Please inform me.
There's a portion in the Bible that says that if you find that your wife might be cheating on you, but you have no evidence, that you can take her to the tabernacle. And just so you know, the tabernacle is where they would do all the sacrifices in the desert, right? So just imagine a bloody a tent that the inside of it is has bloody sand, right? And they have to take the tabernacle sand and put it in the water, and they're to mix it up, and the woman is to drink it. And if the baby falls away, then she was an adulterer, and so therefore, right, was a curse. Right, so that's in Numbers 5:11-31. You can read it yourself. It specifically says it is an induced abortion under the basis of God under the Old Testament. There's the Noah's Ark story that specifically does kill all humans on Earth, which would include everybody, including fetuses and babies. There's also the fact of the Midianites, where the Jews attacked the Midianites, and God had told them, kill the men, the women, the children, and the nursing babies. There is also there's a psalm that specifically says to take happy is the one that takes the invader's children and dashes them against the rocks. I don't remember the exact psalm, but I could give it to you. There is a psalm for that. Now, the Bible. And then there's, of course, in the Old Testament regarding the firstborn son, the death of the firstborn son, unless if they put the red around the door. All of those are instances of baby killing. God loves a good baby killing, right? Don't sit there and get fooled by these people that think that they know the Bible when they do not know the Bible. It absolutely is in favor of baby killing. There's lots of verses in the Bible that are perfectly okay with it. So don't sit there and argue that you're the avatar of morality when you're literally saying that somebody has to carry a child to term when they've been raped.
These are stories. This is not what God. These are
by the way,
stories.
Costa, you should actually read your Bible like a bit better, because God literally killed like millions of babies in the flood. Okay, so not really the best book when it comes to not killing babies. Just saying.
No, I agree. I should read my Bible more. That's something I
yeah, you should. I mean, if you're a Christian and if you're basing like your morality,
I want you,
on that,
right,
you
to
should read it.
do your homework, right? And don't just read specific chapters. No. Read the whole thing from front to back, first page to last page. It took me about maybe 3 or 4 months, and I got done with it. And I recommend every Christian just read the entire thing. Right? Because there's a lot of parts that people like to ignore, and it's really crazy that what you're going to.
A lot of things you said in the Old Testament, and most of the stuff you said, it was stories. It wasn't God saying stuff. Just stories, things happen that God doesn't agree with, and a lot of this was a lot of stuff that like was
the flood?
laws
Did
in the Old
God
Testament.
not agree with the flood? Was the flood happening?
I've already
so he did agree with
given
it.
multiple instances. There's nothing in the Bible aside from the commandment, right? Which, by the way, is Old Testament. Okay. Other than "thou shalt not kill," does it imply that it is not okay to kill babies? Right? There's lots of instances where they're perfectly okay with killing babies. Okay, so get that out of your head.
It is not okay to kill anything, if it's a baby, if it's an adult, whatever it is.
So why is God doing it so often?
Kill it.
Why is God so proficient at killing?
Well, a lot of stuff was to send signs, and a lot of the stuff was stories,
like
not
what,
something that
okay,
God
do you
did.
remember? You probably don't know it because you already said you didn't read the Bible. So there's a passage in the Bible when one of God's prophets is like, there's some children. Again, it's like this thing with kids that were making fun of him for being bald. Do you know what God did? He sent a she-bear, like it's specifically a she-bear.
Oh man, that one's fun.
I don't know why it's a she-bear.
Fun.
To just kill them all, right? Because like kids making fun of bald people, they kind of deserve a good mauling, right, from a bear.
Because they called
so it's like,
they were laughing at him because he called them bald, and then God was like, "All right, I'll send a bear and maul all these kids," and they was like, "Oh, praise be to God that like all these kids are mauled from bear because they mocked an old man."
So it's like I can understand if you're like anti-abortion. It's like everybody is free to kind of like think about these things. But it's like if you're going to base this type of morality on something like the Bible or your faith, Christianity, you should actually know it like a bit better before you're basing things on it, because you might find some contradictions in there, right?
I agree. I should read it more, but this also comes to legality. You can't legally kill someone.
I agree.
What do you mean by killing someone?
I got news for you, man. I mean, like I've already explained to you the conscious experience thing, and I've explained to you why. Right? It's philosophically consistent. It upholds in the sense that it is the conscious experience before as it is after, and I'm able to understand that I don't believe that a politician 100 to 1,000 miles away should force someone to undergo a life-threatening
It's not.
condition.
But every time I say that it is not the politician's choice, it's the choice of the woman who's having sex.
No, that's wrong.
No, it's not.
That's wrong because you sat there and you just argued that a woman who's been raped should be forced to have the child. So no, it specifically is up to the politician in your eyes. You want the politician to be the arbitrator and not the woman, which is completely insane. That is completely insane.
The exception should not be the rule. There's unfortunately
What? You need to be able to. The rule should be able to address exceptions. Guess what? My rule is able to address exceptions. Do you know why? Because it's pro-choice. Every individual. So like, if you're a hardcore Christian and you meet another hardcore Christian and you guys believe that abortion is bad, go do that. There's nothing wrong with you doing that. But don't sit there and then push your morality, which your Bible doesn't even argue. Right? Do not sit there and judge onto others.
It goes into law. It's
okay. So if the law changed, hold on, wait. So if the law changed, you'd be okay with it?
No, I would not be okay with.
Okay, all right. So it has nothing to do with the law. So we're stuck on this basic problem, right? So we're back to the fact that I don't believe a politician 100 to 1,000 miles away should force a woman to undergo a procedure that is life-threatening. Right, I'm sorry. That's the hard stop, right? And you keep bringing up the sex thing. You keep bringing up the sex thing, and the problem with the sex thing is that is a retribution on behalf of the baby, right? That is disgusting, right? But then again, you were arguing in favor of rape babies, so whatever. It's already gross.
You keep saying that that's the whole sex thing doesn't matter. It matters a lot because in order to have a baby, you need to have sex.
Except you don't even abide by that because you're okay with rape babies.
Rape is sex still. Unfortunately, people.
But you didn't choose. You didn't choose. So the idea of choice doesn't matter to you. Holy crap! What is happening? I'm losing my mind. I'm losing my mind.
A horrible person that decides to go out and do that to a woman. It's a horrible thing, and I don't know why you would even think of doing that. You should still not be able to kill a baby. It doesn't matter. No matter what happens, you cannot murder.
Okay.
Can we agree on that?
The law doesn't say that, by the way, just FYI, right? In certain states, the law doesn't say that, right? And so,
what does it say?
The law doesn't argue. Well, it's a state-by-state issue, but I don't even agree with that. I don't believe that a politician 100 to 1,000 miles away should be forced to undergo a life-threatening condition. Absolutely not. I think you are out of your mind making that argument.
You keep bringing up the politician.
Yeah, because that's the main argument. That's the problem.
Let's go to the root. The root is
the No. Stop. You can apply whatever morality you want. That's up to you. That's your personal choice. Okay,
it's not morality.
That's the difference, right? You are arbitrating morality, this specific morality, onto everybody else. So that means the politician 100 to 1,000 miles away should be the deciding factor. Okay, so yes, that is where your argument is, right? I know you want to run away from that because it looks gross, and it is gross. Trust me, it is gross. I think everybody could sit here and see this, right? I think even like people who are pro-life would look at this and may reconsider their position just because they know implicitly that this means that the politician 100 to 1,000 miles away has to be the deciding.
Are you saying that you don't have to have sex to have a baby?
Bro, dude, that's exactly what I'm saying. I get women pregnant through magical farts.
You do not have to have sex to have a baby.
You can do in vitro fertilization, which doesn't require sex.
It requires a man's semen.
You didn't say a man's semen. You said sex.
That is practical. Okay, if you had no men, would there be babies?
Let me say, for example, right?
Also, you're a Christian. There was at least one case without sex in your.
Let's say, for example, that I got the man spunk, right? And I put it in a turkey baster, right? And while a girl was asleep, I inseminated her. Should she be forced to have a child?
That's rape.
Yeah, should she be forced to have a child? No sex was involved there. I just inseminated them.
Wait, what do you mean you inseminated?
I took a turkey baster, I put it up there, and I inseminated her.
A turkey baster and what? What does a turkey baster have to do? Huh?
Do I don't have to spell that out for you.
What are you talking about?
I put guy spunk in a turkey baster and I inseminated a woman. Okay? While they were unconscious, should they be forced to have a baby?
You injected your semen into another lady.
Yeah. Should they be able to have an abortion?
No, they should not be able to.
You're freaking psycho, dude. Get out of here. You're done. I'll give you the last word and that's it. We're done. You're out of your mind.
I just don't really understand what like. I know you said the word done. I have the last word. I'm saying that even in cases of rape, just because somebody does a horrible thing, you should not be able to murder somebody just because of somebody's wrongdoing. If if somebody goes and stabs me, I'm hurt. I have a lot of anger in me for that person, but I can't go get that person because they're already in jail. I'm gonna go kill another person because my anger inside is building up so much that I just need to get it all out and go kill somebody else. I should not be able to do that. Just because if somebody else rapes me, and that would be horrible. That I shouldn't be. If I was a girl, I should not be. I should not have, or I should have had the baby. I should not be able to legally have an abortion.
Gotcha.
But
bro.
if I had the last word,
Good.
thank you so much. This is a great debate.
Yep. Good talk.
Have a good night.
Well,
Wow.
damn. I mean, just forcing people. I mean, I think he would be a bit different. He would approach things a bit different if he actually wasn't the man.
I think so
Just
too.
saying.
I do. I believe that as well.
Because he has very strong stances about what should happen to young girls of 15. if they're raped.
15-year-olds perfectly
crazy.
okay, even if they are sexually assaulted.
Yep.
Right? They didn't care. They did not matter to them. That's nuts.
No, it's
to
like,
me.
look, I think, in all these states in the US, when they're saying it's like, oh, but we have exceptions for rape and life of the mother.
Mhm.
Yeah, usually they don't. Let's be very honest, because it's like, what are you gonna do? It's like, if you're saying you were raped, it's
Well-
not gonna happen, right?
So on that
Because
basis,
it's your word. It's like, what are they gonna do? An investigation, and we know how long it takes
so under that
with these
basis, right?
investigations for rape.
I'm going to make my poll, and you guys get to decide what was the best debate, and what was the best debate, and that's going to be the video that I'm going to have up for the week. Right? Sound like fun? All right. Hold on one second. I got to make the poll, so don't go anywhere. I'm going to link it. Okay. Give me 1 second. And I will post the poll in a moment. Just give me a quick second to write it. All right. What
You
will
had at
be-
least 2 dumpster fires today. That's
It was
that's
yes. It was yes. That was interesting. Certainly interesting. Let me take a look. Okay, so for the first one, let's take a look. We've got shell shock, retribution on healthcare system. Next, we have flashy voting. Why did Kamala lose? And then we have Jixie. Russia versus Ukraine. Heated. And then finally we have Costa. Abortion debate. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and link it. I'm linking it right here. It says here, Boss Clip says, let me up. We're wrapping up right now. I'm so sorry. I want to invite y'all in, but I mean, you guys can come up if you want. We're doing the community. So vote, everybody vote. I'm posting it on YouTube. Trudex says, yo,
hello?
Mender, what's up? Thank you, bro. I appreciate it, man. Thanks for reaching out. How you doing, Trudex? Good to see you, Kayam. Good to see you, Amanda Thomas. Awesome.
Hello? Who invited me up on stage?
I don't know. I mean, you could just come up. You're a mod.
Yeah, but this is not my stage. I wasn't just gonna come up. There's already a mod here. I don't know why I was invited up.
Did you not want to be invited?
No. I'm more than happy to speak. I do have one question that was coming across my mind. I need a little bit of a help.
Okay.
I was thinking about I'm in this one Discord server, and I've been like getting what do you call it? A bit fed up with the server, and I was thinking about protesting the server.
Why are you bringing this up? Are you specifically targeting me on this question? Because this is
No.
this would be something that would be outside of the sensible argument. I'm perfectly okay with talking about it, but I don't want to embarrass anybody, and I don't want to cause up a bunch of drama on my YouTube channel, and I don't want to cause any drama on other channels. So it's just not relevant.
Well, all right.
Yeah. Anyway, go ahead and vote. Throw me your votes. Show me what you got. Show me your votes. How many votes do we got? Let me take a look. We got 8 votes. We got more
Costa
people.
seems to be working.
Costa's, yeah. Everybody, I think what it is, right? Hear me out, right? Because Jixie's was pretty good
the more
too.
dumpster fire it is, the more
The better,
dumpster
yeah, the
fire
better it is.
the better it is.
Yeah, that's
yes.
true. It's true. Good point. Good point. Though keep voting, guys. Keep voting, because honestly, Jixie's wasn't that bad. It wasn't bad. Costa's was really good too, right? These were both really, really good. I think they're both solid contenders, but the people will speak. So hey, Daniel. So get this right. One thing I've noticed is that my videos, they tend to do better if I remove excessive pauses, right? And what I mean by that is 2 to 3 second pauses. I swear, people are so TikTok brain, man. Like they need the constant information. Like, so I think like what I gotta do is I just have to like reduce the overall amount of pauses, right? And just put in the relevant stuff, right? And not like, because there's instances where people repeat themselves. I think as long as I maintain the other person's arguing structure, right? And not cut out anything that would degrade their argument, I think that's a good move. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, probably. As you said, the TikTok brain.
Oh, for sure.
People want
for
to
sure.
constantly be engaged. There's no time for self-reflection.
Last chance, y'all. Vote. Make sure you vote. Vote, everybody. I'm posting
Also,
it
I just found
if you
out
have not
something
voted,
recently.
vote. Right? We only got 9 people who voted. So I want to make sure that we got enough people who voted, and then that will be the video for the week.
So I found out something. So when you're posting your videos, you have a thing there that you're probably doing, which is there's like a thing you have to check mark where it says notice your subscribers, right? Send a notice to your subscribers.
Really?
What I heard is that if you uncheck the checkbox, right, you're actually gonna get much more engagement because
Stop.
it sent it to like a lot more people.
Is that true?
In the algorithm, yes. Which I was like, damn, that's kind of weird, right? That's kind of weird.
I'll look for that
because it
checkbox.
does that.
I'll look for it.
Yes.
That's crazy.
Because
Hold on.
it's the type of checkbox that is like very, of course, just notify them, right? But the way the algorithm works is actually, it kind of fucks you if you're doing that.
That's so weird. No, because I got to build up like my overall user base, right? Because I think I have good content. I genuinely, heart of hearts, I believe I have good content.
Yeah. And by the way, that checkbox is actually even worse for any shorts you're making. So if you're
Really?
making shorts and you're checking that box, it literally super fucks you.
I'll give it a shot. I'll try
By
it.
checking the box.
Anything I can try to do to help. Okay, so it looks like we got 11 votes. I think it looks like Costa, I mean, it's pretty close. Jixie's was pretty close too, but it looks like Costa is winning the abortion debate. So at 4 p.m., Costa, you will see the abortion debate argument. I think I'm going to spend a little bit more time on edits. And when I say that, I'm not going to take you out of context. I'm not going to be moving stuff around. It's mostly just, hey, let's cut out pauses. Let's cut out repeats and just have the substance itself. And this will be the first one, I think, where I will do that as opposed to like the full video with completely uncut. Right. I think it'll do better. Anyway, I appreciate y'all for joining. I do this every Thursday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. every Thursday. I take on anybody who wants to debate. We can have the discussion. If you want to debate, just show up, raise your hand, and we'll have the debate. And if you're just listening in, consider subscribing to my YouTube channel. I'm very, very small. I think I only have about, I'm sitting at about, what is it? Yeah, 313 subscribers. So super tiny, right? So any amount helps, any tiny, like if even one person subscribes, I mean, that's a success in my book. So I really appreciate y'all very much. Thank y'all and have a great day. Stop recording.